Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Dual Screens Gamescast. This is The Last of Us Part 2 Spoilercast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, he's the other half of the Dual Screens, and he always brings that swagoo sauce. He is Andy Esimakis. How are you, Andy?
I'm very excited about this.
This is going to be good.
I feel the emotions welling up deep inside.
Deep.
The
deep
overflow. Yeah.
I got you. I understand. And with us, very special guests from KindaNYC, Platform Agnostic Podcast, and all sorts of other podcasts. We have the former guests of this very show on separate occasions, but now they're here together. We have KindaNYC's Kyle Stephenson and Mike Towndrow. How are you doing? How you guys doing?
Doing excellent. Yeah.
Excited to finally talk about this game after 7 years, right?
I've needed somebody to talk to because just right off the bat, I wasn't a huge Last of Us Part 1 fan. And story was the thing that I really loved about Last of Us Part 1, but like I had issues with, the gameplay and all that stuff. But this one really, really got me. So I'm really excited to speak to you guys who were passionate about Part 1 and all that stuff. But before we get into that, let's tell you about what we do here at Dual Screens, because this is a special show. But we do the Dual Screens Gamescast every Sunday live on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams, and that posts every Monday for your listening pleasure on any podcast service of choice. And on that's in the same channel, you don't have to subscribe anywhere else. We also have the Dual Screens Podcast, which is our flagship show, and that is a show where Andy and I bring on an industry guest, a voice actor, a programmer, an artist, whoever it is in game development, and they tell us their story. We like to be the platform for them to do that. And that posts each and every Thursday for your listening pleasure on the very same channel. And we also have Dual Screens Versus, which is one of our seasonal content, which has 4 episodes up right now and 2 more coming very soon. Now, KindaNYC boys, what do you guys have coming? What do you guys do?
Kyle,
Tell everybody.
Oh, what do we do? When we're not stuck at home for months on end, we plan kind of funny community events in the New York area where we go out, watch a movie, hang out, go get drinks, food afterwards, or just hang out in Bryant Park and play Mario Kart against each other for hours on end. We also have a gaming show called Platform Agnostic where we just talk about what we've been playing, as well as a conversational show, Dollar Slice Pod, which is kind of just hanging out and, talking about the community and what we love and just nerdy things. Like we did a Hunger Games with Animal Crossing characters, I think, on the last episode we put up there.
Which never posted, but whatever.
Fine. Sure. If we did one, it's probably on the Twitch archive somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do fun things together because we love each other. We love the community, and why not?
Yeah, and the podcast, we record them live on Twitch every Friday around 9 p.m. and then they post on major podcast services on Monday around 10 a.m.-ish or whenever I wake up to edit them. And we also do live reactions and gameplay stuff on twitch.tv/KindaNYC.
Yeah.
Awesome. My wife's pizza was just burning, so I ran to go take care of that. The cheese started melting down to the bottom of the thing and causing all sorts of smoke, so hopefully that'll fix itself. Pretty good. Maybe The Last of Us will happen right here. We'll just be surviving. And if you want to support us on Patreon, we do have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our 2 Patreon producers, FNH Paul and Colton the Apprentice Nestler. Remember, you could support for as little as $1, and that gets you VIP access to our Discord channel. You guys have a couple of Patreons as well, or I think one. Right?
For my PlayStation show, The Trophy Room with Mr. Badbit, over at patreon.com/trophy room. I believe it is. If not, I'll send Steven a link and he'll fix in the links or whatever. But yeah.
No problem. All right. So I think the best way to start this conversation is kind of talk a little bit about what about The Last of Us Part 1 resonated with us that we carried into Last of Us Part 2 before we get into full-blown discussion of Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us was one of those games that kind of came out of nowhere. We were used to this campy, Uncharted universe, this Indiana Jones-style universe, and all of a sudden Naughty Dog kind of gives us a curveball and gives us a very, very emotional, very weighted, very dark story. And of course, the remaster essentially launched with PS4, kind of found a new audience. Everything kind of went ballistic from there, and the fervor for a part 2, once that was announced a couple of years ago, kind of went off the deep end. But Andy, do you want to just get into a little bit about what The Last of Us Part 1, why it resonated with you, what were your favorite parts of that leading into this story?
Well, for me, one of the biggest takeaways from that game was seeing Joel having lost his daughter at the hands of, in what was a global tragedy. It wasn't a creature or an infected that killed his daughter. It was a human being that killed his daughter. And seeing that sort of like that second chance he has in a surrogate with Ellie kind of come full circle. And again, her life is also at the mercy of other human beings, and him saying, you know what, I can now take action and save this life and save my quote unquote daughter. Even though it's kind of morally gray how he goes about it, the takeaway is he has a daughter again, and he feels kind of whole. Right. He's restored somehow in saving her.
Mike, what about you?
For me, it was a level of storytelling and writing that I have never seen in games before. I think video games, to me, are categorized pre-Last of Us and post-Last of Us. And I think we'll get into it, but I think that's the case also with Last of Us Part 2. I've never, like, granted, with I felt emotional with Walking Dead, Telltale's Walking Dead, but this just hit home in such a brutal way that I've never expected video games to give me such realistic characters that I would genuinely give a shit about, and I genuinely cared about their well-being, with phenomenal side characters as well, but a world that is like just feels so, it's gonna sound stupid to say, but so realistic and so like grounded, and it blew my mind in every aspect that Naughty Dog or any developer can actually do that in the space of video games.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I echo what everyone's saying. The Last of Us, from a narrative standpoint, holds such a special place in my heart as a gamer and just as a person. It was like, Mike mentioned Walking Dead. Like, that's another one where I could see myself as Lee, but in this one, I could see myself as Joel, like 100%. Like, I'm in his shoes. There's a reason why I call my niece's kiddo is because of Joel. It just kind of stuck with me. And yeah, the way that they put not even just like the story with cutscenes and stuff, but just the way the game had cutscenes just walking around, like the way they told the story, the way you were engaged all the way through, like it is so special. And being able to like play through this entire thing leading up to part 2 and getting that platinum before part 2, like Mike as well. Like,
the two of you did that, you nut jobs.
It wasn't that bad.
Listen, going from that straight into part 2 is a huge experience. I think it's
really special.
It's really special. Yeah.
So for me, the thing that actually I appreciate the most about The Last of Us, aside from the ridiculous amount of production value and realism, is that though it's a post-apocalyptic world about monsters, but the game is never about that. The game is never about surviving these monsters, or in a gameplay aspect it is, but in a storytelling aspect, it's a very human story. It was not about, we got to find, who did this. We got to get, the bad guy. There really was no bad guy. Like, some could argue that you are the bad guy if you just look at all the different people you murdered throughout that game, and indiscriminately for the most part. Like, the ending of The Last of Us Part 1 sees Joel finally get Ellie, who is immune, to the Fireflies, to the hospital where they are going to manufacture some cure. It turns out that the cure is in her brainstem, which is intertwined with, I guess that whatever the thing is that's making her immune is intertwined with her brainstem, and the only way that they could take the thing out and manufacture it and extract what is making her immune, they have to kill her. They have to detach it from the brainstem, which would kill her. That's at least what I understood. If I'm wrong, please stop me. It's way more fresh in your guys' head than it is in mine.
That's you got it right. You got it right.
Okay,
like,
so
it will kill her. The procedure,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Like the infection, or the disease, whatever you want to call it, does take over the brainstem. Like, that's what it is. So,
that's what cordyceps does.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like a parasite.
Right. So what ends up happening is this information gets to Joel. I forget, who was it from? It was
Marlene.
Marlene, right. Marlene finally tells him, and he basically makes a decision. He's gonna John Rambo this thing. He's gonna get this girl and he's gonna get her out of there. And he guns ablaze. He kills doctors. He kills nurses. He kills every Firefly that they that they were friends with or that they worked that entire time to try and save. This girl, and the whole game essentially you're working towards getting her to this thing, and then for the last 15 minutes is all about getting her away from that thing. And he makes that decision, and she's in all of this, so she wakes up not knowing why she wasn't that everything burned and they had to leave. So that fast forwards now to The Last of Us Part 2, where they are now living in essentially a commune. It's essentially like a new civilization, a gated civilization. I'm not really good with names and stuff, so you could interject and tell me.
It's Jackson, where Tommy is Jackson, in the first game. It's the same settlement. So
we fast forward. Ellie's a little bit older. I think it's 4 years if I remember correctly.
Correct.
So Ellie's a little bit older, and we pick up the day after there is a dance or celebration or some sort of hoedown, as it were, where she was kissed, for the first time, and like, so that's kind of like where this whole thing kind of picks up, where we realize, okay, she's definitely gay, and this whole thing is happening.
We also get that Left Behind.
Yeah, that was the huge part.
We do get Left Behind.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about Left Behind. I don't assume everyone's played it because it was a separate thing. Like, I never played it.
Gotcha.
And I don't know why, but I just never did. I think it was because I wasn't in love with The Last of Us Part 1's gameplay that I didn't want to jump into something else right away. Mm-hmm. So I just kept putting it off. And I actually didn't beat The Last of Us Part 1 until late last year. That was the first time I beat it, and I bought it on PS3, never finished it, and then got the remaster on PS4, and then it just sat there for, I played it. I played both versions up to the same point, Pittsburgh's ambush, both times, and then stopped. But my major qualms with The Last of Us Part 1, and I guess this is gonna talk to what I love about Last of Us Part 2, was that the bad things about Uncharted's pretty subpar shooting and grenade throwing and melee combat kind of made it into something where all of that was really important. Whereas in Uncharted, it's like, whatever, you fail, whatever. That doesn't have the same levity as a Last of Us. But when you're in The Last of Us and you're really trying to survive and you're fighting kind of shitty controls the whole time, that was where I felt like my disconnect was. So I lowered difficulty, I plowed through it, and I was fine. But Last of Us Part 2, oh my god, it's like night and day. The stealth is ridiculously good. You have more tools at your disposal. Just giving Ellie a knife instead of having to craft a shiv every 5 seconds changes the whole dynamic of being stealthy. So yeah, before we continue with the story, what did you guys think of the actual gameplay improvements?
Man, this game is such a delight to play.
So good.
It's so good. This is Naughty Dog's best feeling game, for sure, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how they say things in interviews that relay like games shouldn't be fun, but
right.
My experience is this game is all fun. Like when you're just slitting people's throats left and right, or like tossing Molotov cocktails at infected. This is 100% entertainment, and it's never like a slog to play through. Mm-hmm. Every second is very well paced. Between, I think, like even the stealth gameplay, I think it's like Metal Gear Solid 5 Lite, how each section is like a little mini sandbox, as it were. Like you have go into buildings, go into cars, how you approach the situations. So that is, again, it's the fun factor is through the roof for this game.
Yeah, I just love the little cracks in the wall you can squeeze through and get another vantage point. The ability just to go prone is incredible. Not until I saw like Sunni Legend on Twitter where you can actually dive backwards and toss them out. Like, open my mind. So when I'm playing it the second time, I'm 100% going to do that.
That and just jumping attacks where you can jump off a fucking ledge onto somebody. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Even the additions of like the proximity mines, right? Where you can like kind of plan out how to lure enemies into it. Helped me out big time with the dogs. Felt bad every time, but like that is the only way I can get through some of that stuff.
Oh
and-
yeah, the dogs, man.
Well, I mean, we'll get to the part with the main dog.
Mhm.
But even gameplay wise, like the additions to, or I guess like the tightening up of the skill trees and the weapon upgrades they're so good.
Yeah.
The only thing I really don't like about either game, as far as that, is like upgrades are solely dependent on you just exploring and finding those little pills. Like I feel like it should be more like skill experience oriented. Like that's just what I prefer.
Sure.
I
I get
prefer
that.
like, hey, if you're being really sneaky, maybe you get better at doing sneaky things instead of just like, oh, I found a pill and that I found 1 pill here. I found 4 pills here. I found 17 here. Like, what's determining that? Is it all the same? So you just get a guide and say, oh, I could get all the pills in all these locations. I don't know. It just seems like for a game that gives you areas, very specific areas to quote unquote explore, but most of the time you're exploring just to get through a conflict. Like if your goal isn't to kill everyone so that you can walk around freely, you're gonna miss stuff like that. You're gonna miss collectibles. You're gonna miss experience, quote unquote experience points. You're gonna miss all that stuff so that you can progress your character progression. Like for example, there were 2 very specific areas in the game in part 2 that I didn't even bother. I barely killed anyone. And that was on purpose, but I can't then freely walk around and look for stuff because there's some areas where there's 20, 25, 30 guys, just and women, mostly women. Oh my God, were we murdering a lot of women and a lot of Asians? Why were we murdering so many Asian people in this game? I digress.
You said it was Seattle. See, that's the reason why.
It is. I know. The Pacific Northwest is a very Asian part of the country, but yeah, like just being able, I think that's the downfall to the game design in general, the philosophy of it in general. But yeah, I think the way they do the trees themselves is way more exciting and it really does kind of force your hand to figure out exactly how you want to play this game, which I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Also, I want to just really quickly shout out what I love about Last of Us Part 1 as well is the weapon select thing, the HUD. Where it's very minimalistic, and I love that. You're not slogged down in menus to switch weapons or whatnot. It is all on the fly, and as you're doing that, things are still happening, which I love.
Yeah, and being able to craft in a second, I feel like that was a lot snappier, a lot quicker. And can we talk about load times? Holy crap!
Were there any?
Dude, there were none.
They're so good. There are many times where I died and I would go to my phone just to see what I missed, and I would see the X button ready, like, okay, let's try again, like instant. Wow, impressive.
Insanity. Yeah.
Yeah, go back to the skills and like finding like the pills and whatnot. I definitely understand that you prefer like doing a stealthy section and getting experience points. I like the way they do it because it doesn't scream, "Hey, video game" at you. And I like that it rewards you for exploring. Like if you do decide to take everybody out and want to just clear out areas, and there are sections where like you can explore whether it's not combat based. But I like that it constantly rewards you for exploring with pills, with environmental storytelling, which is another thing from part 1 that I absolutely fucking love that they kill in this game. And even in this game, like if you don't explore, like you're not gonna get certain weapons, which I really like. So, like, for example, I mean, we'll get into it when we get to the open world section of the game. But in the open world section of the game, if you just go to where you're supposed to go, you'll just not get the shotgun.
Yeah.
And, like, weapons like that. Like, I really like that.
Yeah. Andy, any final thoughts on gameplay?
I mean, I do like the idea that it encourages exploration. And, my gameplay experience was they almost die. So I killed them all first. And it was like a nice little calming free roam. Like that was my reward for being a good little Avenger, just killing all the baddies, laying waste to them, and then okay, I get to explore freely at my own pace. But I did love how the game, because they're so dense each area, and when the game is like, hey, you want to hit? It's like, no, I'm exploring. There's some screws here, some pills here. Give me a second, game. I got this. Just calm down. I know where to go. It's that ledge over there. Calm down.
I got it.
Another really cool thing that they did with this one is like having stuff to pick up hidden behind glass stuff that you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to break in order to
You
get
could
it.
break glass in this game. It's fucking
It's
awesome.
I
so
know,
great.
good.
Like, there's a storefront. I'll break the window and just hop right over.
Like to get the secret
that's a
room-
vending machine. Car, give me
my
that
God.
snack.
The
Delicious.
secret rooms, like where a door is locked and you have to find another way in, and it's like, oh, there's a window here. Like I should be able to go through it, and then when I realize, oh no, I can bash that out.
Uh-huh.
It makes
Like,
you
yeah,
wonder what.
There is a tutorial, like you can throw bricks in bottles, whatever, to break it, but it's so much more satisfying if you go
Just,
with like a
fucking
melee
punch
weapon
it.
and just bam.
So
Oh,
are all those snacks in the vending machines all Twinkies? Because
Yeah.
how long have they been in
that
there?
survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Sure.
see. It's 20 years, then
Right.
5 years,
Mhm.
and then 4 years.
Right. So
Right? No,
essentially,
20 years. Hold on. No, it's 20 years.
24 years.
1 year. So it's 25 years since
25 years.
since the whole shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah, good.
yeah, we're good. We're good.
Partially
What's a
hydrogenated
little
soybean
food-
oils.
What's a little
that doesn't
food
go bad.
poisoning? It's okay.
All right, so you kind of got the gist of things. Like in The Last of Us Part 1, there was this whole run-in with cannibals. There was like all this other crazy shit as you're trying to get this immune girl to the hospital. Everything you find out it's going to kill her. Joel is clearly loves this girl like his daughter and cannot see her die again. Cannot see his daughter die again, especially when he could stop it this time. Or so he gets her out. Blah blah boom. So now we fast forward. It's 5 years after the events. Ellie's a little bit older. They're in a Firefly. They're not. Is it a Firefly? No, it's like
Are you
it's
talking
a
about
separate
Jackson?
camp, right? Yeah, Jackson's a separate.
Jackson's
camp. The
its own
Fireflies are dead.
Fireflies are
Yeah,
gone. As far as we know.
Fireflies are gone. So here we are. They go off on some patrols. The game starts off with, if anybody's memory is clearer than mine, because I'm looking through a plot and it's kind of going back and forth, so it's kind of throwing me off. I can't remember what happens first.
Well, yeah, actually, the game opens up before we get to like present day Ellie. There's a scene of Joel actually telling Tommy what happened in Salt Lake.
Yep.
Is brilliant.
Right.
It's
When
awesome.
they're on their patrol, and that's when you learn like the horse mechanics and everything too.
Yeah, which is like that 1 year later type thing where Ellie
Right.
is still not older Ellie. She's still
Right. Yeah, this game does a lot of that, a lot of time jumping. But whatever. So when he tells Tommy, obviously Tommy's freaked out by it, whatever. But it's kind of like their secret. And throughout the game, you find out how that affected Ellie and Joel's relationship. So Joel and Tommy don't meet up at their post. Ellie and Jesse, who's a friend and former boyfriend of Dina, and Dina is the one that kissed Ellie the night before. So we got a little bit of a love triangle. Although Jesse says it's over, Dina, it's okay, it's done. It's it is what it is. He's fine with it. So whatever, they move on. So you're going on this patrol, and it turns out that Joel and Tommy never met up for their shift change. Yeah. So now you're going to look for Joel and Tommy. And
another really quick thing when Ellie and Dina are patrolling, they come across spores, right? It's like tutorials, whatever. And Dina turns to Ellie and it's like, "Oh, put your mask on." And we as players know that Ellie is immune. So the fact.
Was this early or was this later on?
This was this early when they were in the patrol with the Eugene building. It was like right before that.
Gotcha.
That just shows you like
no. This is when she puts it on. She doesn't. She's still keeping it a secret.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like nobody knows that Ellie's immune.
Yeah.
It's still probably between Joel, Ellie, Tommy, and Maria. And
Tommy and Maria, right? Who's Tommy's wife or girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, and Ellie tries to tell Dina in that scene when they're in the weed house thing.
She actually,
right.
Yeah.
She tells the story, and Dina's like, "No, you're kidding me." That's
right.
Yeah.
Now it's like, tell me a real story, you dumb bitch.
Yeah. So, you find out that so then it shifts, and I think at this point is when it shifts to you playing.
There's some Abby stuff in there.
It goes like
there is,
Ellie,
right?
Abby,
Yeah,
Ellie,
there is.
Abby. It goes like a little back
So-
and forth in the beginning.
So there's Abby stuff where she's running from infected, but you played a little bit before that too.
Yeah,
right?
you're introduced
before she gets separated.
Yeah, you're introduced to we don't know at the time, but you're introduced to the wolves. You're introduced to Abby, Owen. I believe Manny is there. There's a couple of the side characters that we eventually do get to know. They're holed up in a camp. Owen tells Abby, like, hey, I really want to show you something. They go on like a walk or whatever.
More tutorial stuff.
Yeah.
Just about like platforming and jumping, yada yada yada. Eventually Owen shows Abby high on a cliff that down below is Jackson, and clearly they've been looking for Jackson and they're looking for quote unquote him. And at this point we're like, oh fuck, clearly they're looking for Joel.
Right.
And then from there, I think we go back to Ellie and then eventually go back to Abby. We get her sneaking away because clearly the group wants to go to Jackson by themselves to capture Joel or like infiltrate Jackson.
Owen's like, hey, there's too many. That's a whole city.
There's too many. It's a whole city. But Abby being Abby, and we'll learn why, she's like, fuck this. I'm just going to go for it. And then shit goes wrong. And then that's when we run into Affected as Abby and eventually meet up with Joel and Tommy who save so cool. Abby.
I love that so much. Seeing Joel from a non-playable person and him saving the day as you're not controlling him and like you're running by and he just shoots an infected, like, oh my god, it's
dude.
So cool.
And when you're like safe for a second, I think it's when Tommy is putting the barricade on the door when they get like a break for a second. Tommy says, "I'm Tommy, that's Joel," and just the look on her face when clearly that's when like the aha moment of like, fuck, she's looking for him for some reason.
You know, I'm not sure if it was just me, but there's a moment where I think Joel goes to grab her, like pick her up, and she kind of pulls back a little bit, and she's like, "Do you have a gun?" And I'm like, that is such a nice subtle touch. Like she knows who he is, and she's like repulsed by him even touching her.
Yeah, it's when she has to share the horse with him. I think where they're running away,
and she has this constant scowly face that entire exchange.
And this is the one time that Joel, and we'll get to more like in detail, but like this is the one time that Joel like lets his guard down and is like actually trusting somebody.
And to me it makes sense. I don't know how you guys feel. There's a lot of people online who are like,
oh yeah,
Joel would not do this. To me, it's like he's obviously been living in Jackson trying to be a good person.
Exactly.
And that even makes it more known like with later events, like an hour or two later.
All the stuff that they go back to on how he grew as a person because of Ellie, because of the issues that Ellie has with him, and you see his character evolve, which kind of sucks that you don't get to like live it. You know, it's all told in these little flashbacks throughout the game, but at the same time, it kind of justifies the fact that he is relying more heavily on humanity and his team rather than himself at this point. Like him and Tommy are a unit at that point, and it's about survive. This person doesn't deserve to die. Get her, save her, get her out of here because Jackson is only going to get stronger with numbers. Like they've taken in people recently. I think they said like maybe 2 months prior they had some stragglers that they took in, and they've been pulling their weight and all that stuff.
I believe Seth is one of them. A very minor character, but like when you pick up a document where it's from a guy named Seth, and he's freaking out and frantic and like worried about his family and stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Like it goes to like the environmental storytelling thing. It's Naughty Dog's on another level when they do that stuff.
Yeah, it's insane.
And just to backtrack a little bit with like why Joel will do this and like the argument of like the quote unquote Joel that's not Joel's character kind of thing. Joel regained a daughter.
Yeah,
like. Right. He's becoming a human being again. He's learning how to be loving and hopeful and trusting through Ellie.
He's got a reason to live again.
Exactly.
And it's 5 years later. Like he went 20 years unlearning how to be a human, and now he's going 5 years learning how to be a human. And by the way, he is a fucking machine. The way he was just taking the infected out and just kind of like on autopilot, like nope, survive. Boom, we're done. And it's like, him and Tommy are such a well-oiled machine that the second shit is going down, they know exactly where they're going to go. Even though they've never been really in that place, they kind of got taken off the beaten path. Like they're familiar with their surroundings, but not really. But they're like, no, we're going to, boom, barricade the door. We're going to go this way. Come this way. I never felt like they weren't in control of the situation, even though it was a high-octane situation. It made me feel like I was... what the hell's his name? Justin Long in Live Free or Die Hard, where you meet John McClane and it's just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna follow you because you're fucking crazy, and you're just murdering dudes. but yeah, I loved that whole thing. And then of course, they meet up. He asks if you have anybody else, if they're, where's your crew? They say they're up at this mansion. So then you go to the mansion, and he introduces himself to everyone, and then the whole fucking room goes quiet. And everybody just looks at them.
And that line, I feel like you've heard of us.
Yeah.
It's because we have.
Yeah. So
and
then,
Abby not missing a beat, like, right?
No.
Like they're introducing, like,
she's getting the shotgun ready.
Yeah,
while
she's
he's
immediately
speaking.
going over the shotgun while they're having like this little chit chat stuff, and she's showing the leg, and yeah.
So you guys, did you have that Joel dies as a spoiler?
Yes.
Beforehand. Okay,
Oh.
I didn't, but
man.
I could figure it out.
I feel bad for you guys.
Well, so I tried my best trying to go as blind as possible, muting words and yada yada yada. But of course, something snuck through. I told you guys this last week when we recorded offline. My spoiler was Joel gets killed by a transvestite, which half of that is true, half of it is a fucking troll. Stop being fucking shitty on the internet, assholes.
Yeah,
that is a tall order. I ain't gonna have any.
When I saw that, I at first I was like, oh, that has to be just a trolly fucking thing. But also, I assumed Joel was gonna die in this game. I assumed that was the ending of the game, and the entire time I was like, oh shit, so it's confirmation. Okay, I'm gonna be playing this 25-hour game just knowing that Joel's gonna die at the end of it. I was delighted that it was happening right then, because then I was like, oh cool, I'm good for the next 25 hours.
Can we just talk about how it happened instantly? Why do I have a feeling you know who we are? Chick, boom, kneecap is gone. Leg is blown to shit, and he goes down. And at this point, of course, I believe you switch to Ellie.
Jesse finds Dina and Ellie in the weed thing and said, hey, Tommy and Joel did not come back. And then
So then you play up. You're basically playing at the same time leading up to that moment, because eventually Ellie comes through the door and she gets tackled.
Oof.
And she basically watches Joel get his head smashed in by a golf club.
And that was my spoiler. My spoiler was I was looking up the Joel Funko Pop on GameStop, and there was a review. I was like, that's weird. There's a review for a pop that's not even out yet, and it said missing the rainbow colored golf club. I'm like, what does that mean? And then the moment in that scene where Abby goes over and I see the golf club, was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
I recall seeing the words Joel in one several times, and then I got it after I I played
Can we talk
part
about
of the game.
But like Mike said,
about
I'm
how-
happy it was early, so that way from then on.
Yeah.
I
I don't understand how it wouldn't have been early. Like now that I think about it, they kept saying this was a revenge story. Who else would she go that?
They made it seem it was Dina. I thought it might have been
No,
Dina.
see,
They
here's the
marketed
thing.
this as Dina.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing: this story cannot work if it's anyone else but Joel. Because
No, of course.
as a player, who the fuck do I care about who Dina is? Since I care about Ellie, I care about
By
Dina
extension.
by extension. Yeah, but
Right.
Joel is a whole other level. So
It
if
could
he
have
goes
also
down,
been Tommy.
Sure, Tommy as well. But Joel is
Yeah.
like that. You need him to
I
die
agree.
in this story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just quick shout out to Naughty Dog and the marketing team.
Oh hell yeah!
They put in fake scenes and altered footage, the footage of Ellie roaming in
Dude.
Seattle. It's just Ellie, not Dina. They put the moment later on in Hillcrest where Jesse pulls Ellie aside to protect her. They fucking rendered an old man Joel just for a fucking trailer.
Yeah.
Like
Well, they
dude.
fucking learned from Kojima. I feel for a lot of the marketing in this.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean they protected the shit out of it, but so then we get quite the shift here. After Joel, so this is 4 hours in? I want to say maybe three or 4 hours.
Something
His
like that,
death is maybe at the very earliest 2 hours in the game. He's dead. That's what
Like
it
if you're
felt
just
like.
blowing through it, yeah. So then your stomach's turning. You saw a guy that you love get his head smashed in.
Tears streaming down my face.
Poor baby.
You're watching Ellie watch this. It's nauseating, and then we get a little treat, and we go back in time because you gotta go back in time.
First, Ellie is crying, screaming, devastated, but then there's the turn. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna kill you all.
Mhm.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Fuck yes, Ellie.
And she goes into blind rage, and they're still talking, probably assuming, why are we keeping them alive type thing.
Right.
Right.
But you can't hear it. It's just all static noise
Yeah.
because Ellie's in a rage and just looking at Joel.
She's just
like,
seeing red in that moment.
She has and it's like it was raw. But then we get a Kojima Metal Gear Solid 2 situation. Right? Did everybody get that exact feeling when this happened?
I mean, I got it later on, midway through.
Later on, yeah.
But
I mean, that's way later though in the game.
When you switch to the moments leading up to that with
Right,
Abby?
because you're playing as Ellie for the first 3 days.
So wait a minute. You play I'm
so
getting confused
the
now.
last thing you play
So-
as Abby is you getting saved
But it
by
go-
Joel and Tommy.
Yeah.
That's it. And then
Yeah.
you're not playing
Then
as
it's-
Abby until midway.
Then
through
you're
the game.
Ellie.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Then
Yes,
you're
yes,
Ellie.
Yes. So what happens? You're playing as Ellie, looking for Abby. That's what it is. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you play all the way up until you actually get to Abby the second
It's
time.
in
That's
this.
what it is.
It's the standoff moment in the
Right,
theater.
and then it goes
And then
back
it-
to
and then-
Abby.
and then
Okay,
it
yeah,
shifts
so now it's
over.
coming back to me. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So then we go here and obviously, I mean, if you know what, Andy, why don't you handle the plot points because I'm clearly struggling.
I mean, we get to go into Joel's house, which
So,
again,
yeah, I do want to highlight Joel's
Why? Yeah, the level
Also,
of
wait,
detail
no.
in that house.
Massive thing, which I think it's before all this when we're still like in the past, quote unquote. Joel plays Ellie.
yeah,
Joel gives Ellie the guitar.
Yeah.
And plays her Future Days by Pearl Jam, which Future Days by Pearl Jam is a theme throughout this entire fucking game.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think it's
It's weird.
fantastic. I
No,
think
it's great, but
I-
it's weird. It's like a
yeah,
it's like,
no.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Andy.
Right. So then we're in full blown revenge mode, and we sit across 3 days with what happens before us, and we get the little slices of the flashbacks. We see Joel and Ellie in a simpler time in a museum, which I think is one of the best parts in the game. It's just
Oh my
good.
god.
It is.
Mhm.
It is just. It's such a.
I'm on a motherfucking
It's
dinosaur.
such a father daughter dynamic. It's so wholesome, and it is.
And that was her birthday.
It just
That was her
breaks your
birthday.
heart even more knowing that what happens to not only Joel but their relationship
yeah.
in,
Yeah.
Right.
in future flashbacks.
Yeah, because this was before she is made aware of why they left the hospital in
Well,
Boston.
she
Or-
always knew, like, in her gut, like she knew
Right.
Joel was lying to her, but like
Mhm.
they never had that conversation.
Didn't know the extent.
Yeah.
Of how yeah.
And the little things Naughty Dog does in here, specifically this sequence where it does feel like they are living without us. Like these characters are living in the world
Yeah.
by themselves. Like the fact that Joel pushes Ellie in the water, and before then, in the entire first game, Ellie can't swim, and then you see Ellie pop up,
Annoyingly
and it's
so.
just sure, but like she's waiting around and swimming again. Like that is such a beautiful little tiny thing in there, and like you didn't play Left Behind, but the scene in the space shuttle where she puts on the helmet and she just kind of zones out and feels like she's that's something that they do in the Left Behind DLC, and it's a beautiful moment there.
Mhm.
It's even more beautiful here. Like it is when they
I
do
feel like-
the fun non-combat things, and like the really
Like,
Yeah.
like the snowball fight
heartfelt
and,
stuff, like
stuff like
oh
that.
man, it's so
Yeah.
good.
Well,
I
we
feel like the swimming thing that like they got it out of the way as to say no you don't have to worry about this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like don't worry.
Well,
She
also
can
like
fucking swim. We
Joel's
heard
dead.
you loud and clear.
Who's gonna carry her out of pallets
Right.
across water?
Yeah.
Right.
so Joel dies, heartbreaking, and then we have essentially Ellie wants to set out right away to go and avenge his death, and Tommy's like, "Hold up, give me a day or two to convince Maria to get some sort of gang together to at least you don't go at it alone." And what happens is Tommy settles by himself to essentially avenge his brother's death. And
Awesome.
Ellie goes in after him. Like, I can't let him do this by himself. And of course, Dina, who is developing feelings for Ellie, tags along, which is that nice. I like their banter throughout the
It's
first
so
chunk of
good.
the game.
Yeah.
It feels very like organic and it's very genuine, like how they interact. Like, fuck you, like, oh, fuck yourself, like stuff like that. What they say there.
Were you
Yeah, the
guys
chemistry is
also-
fantastic.
Were you guys checking the journal as you were playing?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, again, shout out to the journalist for filling in the plot point there. It's so good.
Yeah. They man, Tommy. He just gets better and better as this game goes
Dude,
on, man.
and his note to Maria when Maria confronts Dina and Ellie, like she shows the note, like, "Hey, detain them if you must. Lock down all the horses. Lock down Jackson. They are not leaving. I'm doing this alone. This is for their own good." Like,
yeah,
fuck
and,
yeah, Tommy.
and as you're as you play on and you see how he's affecting things for both
so
Ellie
good.
and Abby,
so
like
good.
just how he's just a fucking again, he's John McClane and Nakatomi
You know-
Plaza. Like,
you
that's
know-
what
Yeah.
he is.
It's really interesting because if you look at Tommy and Ellie, they're very similar in their motivation, and even how, and again, I don't go too much into the end game, but like leaving everything behind for revenge. Tommy essentially does do that in the beginning of the game. He leaves behind Maria and the entire settlement to go.
There were no doubts in Tommy's mind that he was going to finish what he was going out to do. Like, I don't think he had any qualms about I'm coming back. I'm getting this done, and I'm coming back. Like, he was supremely confident about it. I don't know why, but he's supremely confident.
Again, in the end game, which we'll talk about later, is Ellie does the same shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But Dina
Yeah.
doesn't buy that shit.
That's the parallel between both those characters.
Which
Now,
is so
what-
good. The parallels are so good in this fucking game.
What were you guys feeling during this first half of the game where you're just solely as Ellie? It's like it's a very focused chunk of the game. There's no, because I feel the second half is very, you're just reacting to things as they happen, but the first half is very, there's a singular path, you're going down a long hallway, and that's just it. Like, what were your emotions during this first part of the game? I'm curious.
I mean, for me, I was like Ellie. I was filled with rage. This person took away my father. I will do whatever I can to enact revenge on it. And like, even there were some moments where, like, she's still a young woman, right? She's still not this hardened person that Joel is. And you can see that when she tries Joel's tactics that he tried to teach her. And like, she either is too overcome with fear and anger or sadness, and it's not clean, or it affects her way more than it ever did Joel. And like, those are the moments that I love about Ellie's side of things. And then the other half is straight up just a story of redemption. Like, it is full on redemption mode for the second half of this game.
Now, so as things go on, you wind up a couple of days in, and there are some plot points that happen. Like, you find out Dina is actually pregnant with Jesse's kid. She's getting morning sickness, so she can't go on certain excursions. Very, very clever way of getting Ellie out there alone. You have all the stuff. Also, it's revealed I believe it's through Ellie's play through that there are other people. There is another group of people somewhere.
The Seraphites.
The
Seraphites
Seraphites or the Scars, depend, and because they have scars on their faces, like the Joker almost. But so there's other shit going on that for whatever reason Ellie didn't know prior, and I don't know how far away from Jackson they really are going, but
it was Wisconsin to Seattle, I believe, right? So
Jackson is in
Jackson,
Wyoming.
Wisconsin?
Jackson's Wyoming, yeah.
Yes.
Wyoming, which is, I guess it is pretty, it's a couple.
So,
states
and
away,
they are
I
clearly like Seattle based. Like, both factions are Seattle based.
right.
Can we talk about the Seraphites real quick and how terrifying they are?
Oh my god,
dude,
with their whistling
in surround sound is fucked.
Yeah,
it's really scary. And
just like their notes
there's no fight in this game that's scarier than the dude you rip half his face off and he still fights you.
Oh my god!
I was cold. I don't like him at all.
I can think of one scarier fight.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. There's one more scarier fight in the game.
1.5 actually.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're doing really good world building. Like that's the thing that I really liked in this version, because the world is not what we knew. Like in Last of Us Part 1, we were kind of learning how people were surviving, or how they were trying to survive. Where they're still in these dilapidated cities, holed up in these little corners of the world. But then we get Jackson, which is like an actual real city, and then you start to see that there are little pockets of this happening around, but nobody can kind of communicate with each other. Nobody knows each other exists. They're all in these little pockets of humanity, and you're starting to see how the world is actually surviving. They're going on these routes, just taking out infected. They're they go sometimes weeks without coming across any infected. The infected do travel in hordes. They actually go with the seasons. Which is something we learned as well. So we're learning a lot about what these characters are going through while we're not playing this little specific chunk of time.
And to go,
which I really loved.
And to go with like the enemies, looking back at part one compared to part two, like part one, every hunter you ran in with felt the same. They're part of the same giant group.
Yep.
Here, let alone the two in Seattle and the one later, they're all evil and evil's. Again,
I wouldn't use the word evil.
Sure,
they're all fucked.
They're all doing bad things, right? But they do such a great job of making it seem like they're doing it for a good reason on their end. And there's so much more put into them as a group.
Yeah,
right.
That and the fact that the Seraphites and the wolves have really nothing to do with Ellie. Ellie is just like throwing herself in the middle of this war that like she didn't know existed.
Ellie is the reason why the wolves exist.
True, fair, but I mean, like the war itself, like the
conflict between them, she has nothing to do with.
Right. Really, you think the wolves were created because of Ellie?
Well, no,
yeah. The wolves were the survivors of the hospital.
No, the group that was at the cabin are the survivors.
Yeah, the wolves existed.
They ran into the wolves.
Oh, see, I thought they were. See, what I thought was like the fireflies scattered like roaches, and the ones that survived met up later and said fireflies are gone. Oh, well, obviously until the end where you find out that
I think Isaac was the firefly that started the wolves, but it's like he's the one that I believe that was said in the game. I
don't think Isaac was a firefly.
Well, I think Isaac knew Dad.
I didn't get that either.
Right?
I don't know, but no, Kyle's right though. Like the wolves were a thing, and the existing some fireflies went into that fold.
Yeah,
yeah. That was still a little bit confusing for me because I thought maybe it was just like that event destroyed the fireflies, which it did. They do say that the fireflies are no more since that event. But I thought that the wolves were like a side faction that happened because of it. But that's interesting. So yeah, I mean, a couple of bullet points, I guess, Andy, through while you're going through day 2, 3, and 4.
Well, it's just Ellie just catching leads and following those leads, and it's there's always like a dead end. Like, okay, it's like she just misses where Abby could possibly be at any given moment,
or just missing Tommy. As
right, exactly, yeah. As in the wake of his carnage.
Yeah.
And
like, oh shit, what happened here? It's got to be Tommy.
We have that great moment at the hospital with Ellie, which I think is one of the best parts in the game.
With Nora.
That is, that scene is just
a lot.
It's heavy, and watching Nora succumb to the infection is so painful to watch in that moment.
Yeah.
I love
so Nora was the doctor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was the she was running the hospital in Boston that
no,
they were gonna wasn't that oh no, she wasn't running it. She was in that. She was in the flashbacks, wasn't she?
No.
Like whenever they flash back to that hospital scene, there was one I thought
that's
she was
Marlene.
Yeah, let's say
Marlene.
No, I know there's Marlene.
They don't all look alike, Steven.
Well, those two.
Well, she's part of the group that was at Salt Lake. Yes, she was part of that group.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, let's go over that scene a little bit because you finally track down where Nora is, and you know that. Oh, by the way, Ellie finds I guess like a bag or a book that has a bunch of Polaroids of like everyone that was in that fucking house that she has to kill.
It was
like,
she's got.
Here we go.
The girls, Leah, I think was the character's name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's got a list that essentially she has her.
It's her hit list, basically.
Yeah, her hit list. Yeah.
Anyone else feel unsatisfied though? Like when you were chasing on these leads and you get there and Tommy just like took them out.
Already took some out.
Like, did you feel unsatisfied that it wasn't Ellie doing
it's
that
like
and getting some revenge?
No gratification. Like I feel like, well, at the very least, I'm killing all the wolves along the way, but it's like, I want to be part of that chaos that you're making there, Tommy.
Don't worry, Kyle. We'll get that DLC. It'll be all Tommy's side of that whole story.
I hope not.
Yeah, that's what it'll be. It'll just be you running through with a sniper.
I'm not
rifle
saying I was
unsatisfied,
but I saw a couple people here and there being like, I would have really wanted Ellie to do the taking out.
So
I was gonna say, I think the moments we do get Ellie, either like with Nora, we actually hit square to actually do the killing or the torturing,
and she's the first one, right?
Nora's the first one, correct? Or we see a cutscene where she is like brutally fucking murdering people. I think the selective moments are chosen.
Agreed.
Very well. to like maximize how you are going to react, either in an angrily way, either in a fuck yes kind of way, or in a sickening kind of way. Mostly it's sickening.
Yeah.
Especially like once you do the thing with Nora, the it cuts to you back at the fucking theater and Ellie, her hand just shaking.
All she's saying is I made her talk.
Like I made her talk.
Yeah.
And not seeing it. I think not seeing it is such a powerful choice. Yeah.
Right.
She felt like the Terminator to me. Like Ellie in that moment felt like T1 Terminator, just slowly approaching this, like she's invulnerable to what's happening around her. The spores are everywhere. This woman's dying against the locked door. And she's like, no, we're gonna finish this. And did you guys pause there to see if you could not hit her?
No.
I think I waited a couple seconds.
I waited a little while.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, no, I have to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
There's a couple of combat things too, where if you were going and taking everybody out, there's a couple moments where the last one is like on their knees pleading, and in order for you to continue and like run around and search stuff, you have to take them out brutally. And it's like
it's like hit or whatever, or like strike.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll knock them out. No, you strike them, go around them, and smash their head against the fucking rock and blow their head off. I'm like, holy crap! All right, well that's different.
Well,
that's different.
Speaking of things we have to do, we are now approaching the end of Ellie's portion of the story, at least in the first half, and that's at the aquarium. And we are forced to kill a dog, which now to me, I had spent the entire game deliberately trying not to kill any dog, and up until that point, every dog was spared because dogs.
I tried, Andy.
Dogs have no part in this.
I tried the first pup I tried. I was like, nope, this is how it is. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I killed every dog.
Oh, you savages!
Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Savages. I was like, aim at head and.
I used the proximity mines.
I used a shotgun.
I did it. Oh.
I was like, oh, this dog is smelling for me. Silence, pistol, and.
No, but even this dog, who we learn her name is Alice. Like at first, I was like, "Oh shit, another dog." Okay, that sucks. That's hard.
I knew that was going to be a thing that happened when I killed Bear.
Yes.
Oh, Bear also shit.
I killed Bear not like before you knew what dog like you heard the person go, what do you got, Bear? You got something? And I'm like, oh. And then I killed Bear before I killed any humans, and they were like, no, Bear! Like they were so distraught. I was like, fuck, it's just a dog. And then you play a section with Bear, and I'm like,
yeah, that one hit
with Bear.
Because we have a bear in this household. One of my sister's dog's name is Bear. So when they're talking about Bear, in that section right outside the hospital, right before Nora, I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm sure we heard the dog's names before, but it didn't really stick to me as much as like Bear, and then Alice very closely afterwards. Like, oh,
they
man.
Screamed bloody murder when I killed poor Bear. Like they were so distraught, and I'm like, oh fuck, that dog was important, I guess. Not like the other 6 I killed. Yeah.
Before we continue, just backtracking like a little bit.
Sure.
As we're with Jesse and Hillcrest, and we're looking for the boat to go to the aquarium. There is a moment where Jesse and Ellie have an agreement saying like, hey, once we find Jesse, we're out. We're going back to Jackson to help
Tommy.
Tommy.
Once we find Tommy, yeah.
Like once we find Tommy, that's it. We're out. We gotta do what's best for Dina. We're going back to Jackson. They both agree. Cool. But then they have that split moment of, hey, Jesse's like, hey, Tommy is like right there, but Ellie's looking at the boat like, no. I look, Abby has to be right there. I'm so close. And there's that point where she chooses, like, the first time she chooses Abby over Dina, like her lust for revenge over Dina. So I just wanted to point that out. Right.
And then of course, yes, go on, Stephen.
I just also want to say that there's a guitar in the theater that you can continue to play. You could mess around with it. I thought that was a really cool touch.
Here's a quick question: did neither of you get that in Seattle?
Yeah. Did you miss the thing in Seattle?
What thing in Seattle? No,
the guitar thing in Seattle.
Oh, in the actual in the music shop.
In the music,
yeah.
I got that.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Just making sure. That's one of the best scenes in the whole game.
And yeah, that's my favorite thing in the game.
And where she, what's her name, goes and plays drums on it too, right? Wasn't that a thing that happened? Or was that a different music store?
No, it's the same music store, but when you go upstairs and then Ellie plays
Stick on Me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But and that's the crazy thing is that the very end of this game, which is the thing that I love the most, and has it's just symbolism out the ass.
Mhm.
If you don't play those guitars, if you don't do that part, I don't think you get. It's not as heavy a hitter to you. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead, Andy. Continue.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, we're at the aquarium. We kill the dog. It's so sad. And then we meet up with Owen and Mel, and we kill them in very brutal fashion. And then Ellie sees that, oh, fuck, Mel is very, very ultra pregnant.
In Owen's last breath, he says she's pregnant.
Right.
And then she looks and she's like, fuck.
She's like very much pregnant. And then we have like a little bit of a gag effect. And Ellie's like, holy fuck, what is life right now?
Yeah. And she was trying to do a Joel maneuver. She was talking with Dina about that same maneuver hours beforehand of the scene in the first game where Joel is tying the two guys up and torturing them to get information. And she tried it and failed, and things went wrong, and she just took them both out.
Trying to get them to write a point on the map.
Yep.
Like one would point to it, then the other one would point to it, and if it doesn't match up, you kill one. Whatever. And
then it sort of seems like this egg it has to be enough for them at this point. I mean, they've killed Owen and Mel. They can't find Abby. She wasn't there. But at this point,
they were talking about the island. She walks in on them saying that Abby's halfway to the island by now. Which, by the way, Andy, do you know what the island is?
What's the island, Steven?
Vashon Island.
Oh,
it's Vashon Island, where Fraser and Niles go on
yes,
vacation.
it is.
So it's an island.
Yes,
it's an island where you have to take a ferry to it in real life. It's Vashon
that you knew
Island.
that from Frasier, the show.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. And I also went to Vashon Island actually when I was on tour with a children's band. We went to Vashon Island, which is really cool. But yes, I did know it from the show. Yeah,
because they pointed out. I've never been to Seattle. I do not know. My knowledge of Seattle is Infamous Second Son.
Yes.
Because at some point Lev points out the Space Needle. Is the Space Needle on an island?
No, it's not.
Okay, so that's why I figured.
She was just saying he. Fuck. You have to go towards the Space Needle. It's not at the Space Needle. It's just like it's in that direction, which I thought was really, really cool. But so yeah, we continue, Andy. Sorry.
Right. So we're back at the theater. We've killed some of the core members of this group, and I think Jesse is like, and Tommy's there. This has got to be. It has to be enough for the time being. Like Dina is preggers. We got to head back to Jackson. This has to end for now. And there seems to be a genuine consensus, like, yes, maybe this has to be it. Like it wasn't my full revenge that I wanted, but there was a pound of flesh that I got out of this at some point.
A little bit more lighthearted. Tommy about gold.
Right.
Yeah, and then Tommy leaves to find the gold or something, like to go along with the joke.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Abby shows up and she straight up murders Jesse. Which was like,
before she shot whoever was coming through that door.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, shot him right in the eye.
Brutal.
I love how almost gets Ellie.
And just Tommy on the ground, basically, like, I will fucking shoot him. Like, don't drop your gun, don't move. Right. And we're like, holy shit. Like, she puts her gun down, Ellie. It's like, you want me? I had the cure. It's all my fault. He's not part of this, even though they're all kind of part of this at this point. There's no one is not part of it. Like that is that line comes back and forth in this game a lot. And I feel like they're all in on it. No one's without blame. Like if you're a part of the group, it's a shared blame throughout.
Right.
And then we have yes.
Well, is this where Abby says we let you live?
Yeah.
And you ruined it?
And we gave you a chance and you ruined the chance, basically. Like we fucking let you go.
And then
that's when shit hits.
And then we have, I would say, one of the boldest moves ever in storytelling I can think in recent memory. We've spent hours as Ellie tracking down this person with the single focus of killing her. And we're just fueled by pure hatred and revenge. Mm-hmm. And we've seen Abby, whose life was saved by Joel. That wasn't enough to spare him of her hatred of him. We see Abby killing Jesse in cold blood. And now we're taking on the role as Abby and seeing her perspective.
Dude.
In the story.
At the fucking peak climax.
Doesn't she shoot does she shoot Tommy?
No.
too?
This is
No,
like
no. That's later on.
she has the line of, I let you guys go, you wasted it. Then it's cut to black, Seattle Day
Flashback.
1.
Yeah.
I thought it was flashback.
Oh, sorry,
You
it's
go to
flashback
young
first.
Abby.
Yeah, we go to young
Yeah,
Abby when
young
her
Abby.
father was. Yeah, we see
With the
them
dad,
with
yeah.
her dad.
How quick did you realize
What was
one,
going on?
that's Salt Lake with the zoo?
Yeah.
2,
Yeah.
that's the doctor that Joel killed.
Mhm.
Instantly, almost. Yeah.
The Salt Lake City thing, yeah, it was pretty quick for me. But the fact that Jerry was the doctor, I was like, it wasn't until I think there was a line where Owen comes in, is like, "Oh, they need you back at the hospital or something."
Yeah, that was where it was like, oh, okay.
Got it. Yeah. And then they do
Yeah.
the thing, they save the zebra, and then the shot of the hospital, and I got chills. Like, oh,
and that was the
shit.
day that Joel and Ellie show up.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why Owen got
That's
what-
Jerry,
yeah.
because
That's
Ellie
why.
was there.
Yeah. So like that's like you're basically living the last day that Abby has with her father.
Mhm.
Before the shit hits the
And
fan.
in this flashback specifically, I want to highlight the scene between Jerry, Abby's dad, and Marlene.
Mhm. Yeah, that is a great scene.
Because in the first game at the end, for me, I despise Marlene.
Yep.
Because she was the last one that was still wanting to take my baby girl, my new daughter, away from me. And she does this thing. I wrote it down because this is another scene that I got teary eyed because I'm a big softie. She said something like, asking Jerry, if this was your daughter, what would you do?
Yeah.
Like basically
Right.
like pleading to him, like there's got to be another way to get the vaccine out, the cure out without killing Ellie. Because obviously there's a connection between Marlene and Ellie's mom, and she promised her mom to protect her. And I love that we got this side of Marlene in this game to give her the whole part one whole storyline with Marlene it's strengthened just by that one little scene.
Yeah, like this game so many times supports the first game so well and just enriches the first game's plot points. Because like in the first game, there are audio logs in the hospital, like when you're trying to sneak around and like actually get to Ellie, with Marlene like clearly distraught and like apologizing to Anna.
Anna was Ellie's mom, yeah.
Just apologize, like talking to herself clearly, but like just apologizing, like knowing that she let her down. And like it doesn't make sense because you have at the time it doesn't make sense because you have the contradicting thing of Marlene like looking like a stone cold fucking killer. Like, no, this is what has to happen. Like it is what it is. But yeah, then we get this humanizing moment, which man, like this game does that so much, and it just makes the first game even better.
And in
But
that same scene, Abby comes in, right? And
Yep.
Well, she overhears them talking about it.
Yeah.
She walks in on
goes
him.
like, if that was
Here's
me,
dinner.
do it. Like, whoa, Abby, Jesus. Complete
It
opposite
also
side.
kind of sets up Abby's dad as being kind of the bad guy a little bit. Like it almost kind of.
Well, again, there's no bad guy in this. That's the whole point. Like,
No, I know, but it makes you feel like, okay, maybe what Joel did, wasn't that bad because this doctor, was selfishly, like he didn't answer that question whether or not he would do it if it was daughter, and you kind of got the feeling like he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Based on him not like. A doctor who has a chance to save the world, which, by the way, I think he's a vet. I don't even think he's a real doctor. I think he's a veterinarian. Just want to point that out.
Right.
I think he's like a veterinarian that does like surgical stuff for vets.
Right.
He not being able to answer that question because he knows that his answer is he wouldn't do it makes it seem to me like a little hypocritical. Like, who the fuck are you to judge? Who are you to make this decision?
There's a little bit of mad scientist there. It's like, oh, like this is the way, like it has to be done this way. There's no other way of doing this. Like, trust me, it's this way or no way, and we're all gonna fucking die. It's like the end justifies the means in his eyes.
Part of me was like, we finally have her and a chance to do it. I'm not gonna waste time running different tests and other avenues of saving Ellie's life. Like I'm gonna do the thing that is probably the quickest and the thing that I know, and I'm not going to take weeks or months to research or look at other ways to get it out of her. Like, let's do it now.
Which makes you wonder. It's been 20 years since the events and the beginning of the last part one. Like, you can wait a little bit longer to do some tests.
Sure.
Like what I would do is
rush?
I would send out an APB to every other like Firefly, every other whatever, and say we need to fortify this city where this hospital is.
Yeah.
Because we're not losing her until we figure out how to get this cure. Like that's what I would have done. Like when civilization is now like she's our queen. She's the queen bee. She must live at all costs, otherwise the colony dies. Like that's what I would have done, and like figured out, can we extract it from her blood? Can we? Because they didn't really do that. They barely ran tests. They did one day, I think.
That's the flaw of the Fireflies. Like,
yeah.
Well, at least that's how you can tell. Like, I don't think any one of us thought when the first game ended, like Joel made the wrong decision.
We had this discussion, me and Mike, with our co-stars at Platform Agnostic when we did the first game, and we were split 2-2.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
On what we would do in Joel's foot. I forgot what we were. Were we on the same side?
Me and Kyle were on the same side, that we would protect Ellie at all costs.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like the other point of that is like that's a selfish move. Like it
is, but again,
what is it? The loss of one is the benefit of many.
The needs of the
there we
many
go. Thank
outweigh
you.
the needs of the few of the one. Star Trek: Wrath of Khan. What was I gonna say? But this is also it's not a guaranteed success for them in this cure. And the Fireflies they were a terrorist group essentially. They were portrayed as in the first game.
Yeah, like radicals
to some extent.
They're the rebels in Star Wars.
There's no the games had this way of playing with what good and evil really are, and it doesn't really exist. It's all just morally gray area between Joel, the Fireflies, Abby, Ellie. It's all just gray noise.
Yeah.
And then we have
human versus human with infected just in there in the background. That's how I view it.
Also, like who are the real monsters here? Like is what we're trying to get at in this universe. It's us who are the real monsters. So. And I think it was such a huge ask of us, the player, to take on the role of Abby, knowing what we know of her at that point. Because I was like, wait a minute, this isn't. I feel uncomfortable. Like the stories don't go this way. Like I get what you're trying to do here, but from a narrative perspective, structure-wise, I was like, I don't like this at all. Like why are you forcing me to feel uncomfortable? I don't want to feel things now. But then we go in and we learn more about Abby, and then things start to click. That's a pun. They click with you more and more. And maybe her side of things and her motivation is justified in a lot of ways.
Walking through that stadium the first time on day one of Seattle, playing as Abby, and going through and running into the woman who plays Vita that you take out as Ellie, in the tent, and be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, you're dead in a couple hours or a day or two. Right. And then you're basically running through and seeing all these people that you have probably taken out.
Already murdered, yeah.
But then the point where Mel goes, oh yeah, I have to go sign Alice out or something like that, or go get something, and you go down and it's just the dogs in the kennels and you see their names, and you go in and play with Alice and Bear, and like, oh god
damn it,
oh how dare you, Neil and Haley, how dare you.
The only issue that I had, the thing that really took me out of it when you first start as Abby, is I don't like starting over with gameplay. Like from a gameplay perspective, having almost no skills to my advantage with her, as you have to like reacquire the pills and the magazines or books to unlock skill trees. Like that's the part I didn't like, because I just spent 10 hours doing that, and now I have to start from scratch, and the game isn't necessarily any easier because I'm starting out, you know what I mean?
But she's also like a very different kind of character in terms of the gun she has.
Yes.
Like
and her physicality. She doesn't have
punching
a knife.
clickers in the face, man.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so people took so this is why they called it I guess a tranny or whatever the hell they were calling her. That kills Joel or whatever. Because she's fucking jacked out of her mind. She is brolic, as the kids say.
Which is justified in the story. Like they
she
explain
is
why.
essentially living in a prison. She's essentially living in a prison camp as a soldier. She's
her sole
jacked.
Purpose was killing Joel, so she went at all lengths to be strong
and
enough.
she gives up everything to get prepared to take on Joel.
I gotta say one thing: when you have those shots of her from the front with the pointill hiding in her back, she looks like a full-blown man. Like it's a very deliberate shot of her. Like if she had straight hair looking down, maybe we wouldn't have this whole "she looks like a dude" conversation.
She kind of looked like a little bit like DiCaprio. I got like DiCaprio vibes from her. Like when you're just looking, I don't know. But she was built like Bane, and just ready to just break dudes, and it was refreshing, you know. And I quickly turned on that. Like maybe by day 2 of Abby's story, like I quickly was like, oh, she's different, but she's also equal. Like she can. Yeah. I don't need to unlock everything for me to kick ass with her, because she gets really cool weapons.
Oh, that flamethrower is the tits, man.
Just
that flamethrower.
So much better than the first game. So much better.
And crossbow. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And you fight the biggest, baddest abomination of them all with Abby, and just toe to toe. Like I was like, okay, it's you, it's me. Who's gonna win?
That is the moment where I turned on Abby. So when I went through and did like the Avengers Endgame moment, where like Seattle Day 1 type of like, where it was like what, a year later in Endgame, where post snap, I was like, man, I just want to play as Ellie. I love Ellie. I want to see the story through. I don't want to be forced in playing as Abby. And around the start of day 2, getting into the hospital, I quickly changed. Like, I love Abby. I love what she's going through. I totally get where she is coming from on this side of the story.
For me, it was when after you meet Lavin Yara, and then you go back to save or to check on Lavin Yara and eventually save them. That's when I had the moment of like, fuck yeah, Abby.
This is where I start to see a parallel that I haven't heard anybody say yet, and I haven't listened to any other spoiler casts yet. I think I listened to like 5 minutes of the Kind of Funny one, and then I shut it off. But because I didn't want them to inform my opinion, I see Abby becoming Joel throughout your playthrough. She latches onto Lev like Joel did to Ellie. Yeah. And I think that's why I grew attached to Abby, and I felt bad as things were going on, and where you end up at the end with Abby and Ellie. There was a dichotomy between her and Joel, like, and I think when you get to the end and the ultimate thing is seeing Lev in the boat as Abby, and I think she puts it together, and that's why she ends up, letting her go, and after that fight at the end, I think is because she realized, like, no, I was Lev in that boat. I know what that's like, and that's Lev's Joel. I'm not going to be the Abby to take Lev's Joel away. And I think that's why she collapsed and let her go. But I know we got ahead of ourselves. But when you start seeing her do these things for Lev, that's when I was like, holy shit, I'm playing Joel. This is Joel. I'm playing Joel taking care of a young, capable ward, as it were, whatever, and filling a piece that Abby was missing from her life. She didn't get to have a family. She didn't get, she broke up with Owen before it got serious enough where, Owen was having a kid with Mel and all that stuff. So like her life was consumed with this revenge story. And then she has this moment of purpose with Lev. And it's the same purpose that Joel found. Like, Joel was a robot. Joel was a sentry until he got this mission. Like, he was cold. He was a douchebag in the beginning of Last of Us 1. Like, you didn't care for him, but he started to care about Ellie. And you get that same thing with Abby and Lev. But although it happens a little quick with Abby, it's like, oh, here's these kids. Oh, well, I'm going to take care of you now. Like, I'm going to help you, and kind of thing. It was a little quick, but that was what it was for me. I started to connect with Abby like I connected with Joel. I started to see that parallel.
Yeah. And it's also with her, like, her, I guess, nightmares when you're playing as Abby.
Yeah.
Her PTSD, sort of.
Where you get the hallway in the hospital with the fireflies, and it goes from walking in on Dad to Dad still being... Or walking in on her hanging with Lavin Yara to then Dad is alive, pretty much being like, okay, I can let it go. Like, letting go of everything. And the complete opposite of what Ellie goes through.
Just like her thinking of like, things need to fucking change.
Yeah.
Like I got my revenge on Joel. And even like when you first see Abby, like it doesn't seem like Abby has any sense of like peace or relief after doing that.
Nope.
Until she's living through these nightmares and has the realization through Owen and through these nightmares and through Yara and Lev that like it's time to just fucking let go. Like,
yeah, and it gave her no like sense of satisfaction or release. Like,
Yeah.
she had to do it, but what did it really give her in the end? I mean, it cost her. I mean, my take was like her revenge is what caused her and Owen to split. Like her focus on that put a huge divide between them. Like she could have had a life with him,
Right.
and
obsession.
Again,
It's killer.
So let's talk a little bit about Lavin Yara, because Lavin Yara are Scar's Seraphites that are being hunted by other Seraphites. Apparently, they broke some sort of religious code. That code is originally, they say, oh, he shaved his head. Well, why is that a big deal? Everyone's head is shaved. All of your fighters, all of your all of your male fighters have their head shaved. Which you kind of notice as you're going through. The women have hair, the men don't, kind of thing. So it's like, oh, it's it broke whatever rules, and they're trying to get her or get him. So then, yes, you find out later that Lev is trans, identifies as a male, and shaved her head to then make the transition to, no, I'm a male and I want to fight as a boy. And like I think he's 14.
Well, first we get that moment when Ascaris cries out, "We're gonna get you, Lily!" Before there's any actual context to who Lily is or what they're referring to, and it's like, did I hear that right? Like,
yeah. As soon as it happened, I was like, oh, okay.
Is it what I think is happening? Yeah.
We also find out that. Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying in that same moment, you get the moment after that conflict with Abby and Lev saying, like, I think Lev has a line of, "Hey, did you hear what they called me?" And Abby's like, "Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?" And Lev's like, "No."
Yeah.
Okay.
We also get a couple lines of like how this is probably way later, but where Lev, maybe Yara's, when you're alone with Yara in the aquarium and stuff, and Yara's giving the backstory to Lev, and Lev was basically supposed to be like arranged marriage to one of the elders, and I think that's what caused Lev to shave his head, and that's why everyone's after him. They did I think a really good job with this. I love Lavin Yara, and
this was the point of contention for a lot of the trolls on the internet, was having not only a lesbian main character, a brolic female that essentially does everything a male can do, if not better, and that person was responsible for killing the hero that we all love, but also you have a trans character in which they pretty much overtly call the religion, basically naming religion as the bad guy in that scenario, of saying the religion is the reason why she or he is hunted, is because this religion doesn't believe that thing. Now, Kyle, you had mentioned the whole arranged marriage thing. That's probably the real reason, but when you're looking at the parallels between that and real life, and you're looking for metaphor, you're looking at a simple evangelical anti-LGBTQ kind of situation. Now, Andy, as a gay man, I want to ask you, what did you think of this plot device? Did you think this was heavy-handed? Did you think that this was, quote-unquote forced SJW bullshit? Or
no?
What did you feel?
You know what's funny is when you hear that argument about SJW bullshit, and when I look at this game as a whole, I think of it as it is a message to anti-cancel culture, because it's asking us as the player to look at Abby as a whole human being, not to define her by one specific action. That was one of my biggest takeaways from this, how we are so much more than a singular thing that we do.
Than a mistake. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And in terms of Lev, I found it so odd how he was still a devout Seraphite. Like, you see him like talking Abby through their traditions, and he's like praying and saying little
that's
prayers.
All he knows.
Right.
That's all he knows. And even he's tied to his mother too.
Right. And even after, I mean, that kid went through the ringer. We'll get into it later, but like, he went through hell before the game was over. Yeah. And he still had his religious beliefs.
Right.
Up to a certain point.
Right.
But I think he was handled because it doesn't really force it on you. It's not like it's not from an agenda-driven perspective. Like, this is just how this person exists in this world. And it's asking
Right.
us to just look at it through his particular lens.
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's not like heavy-handed or just forced down my throat.
What I think was most important was not even how Lev handled it or how all of that story, but how Abby handled it.
Because
do you want to talk about it? No, that's it. We move on. Like it's
Yeah.
not. We're not harping on it.
Right.
We're not asking. We're not prodding. We're not asking 100 questions. We're not saying
And that's exactly how you normalize that sort of lifestyle. Because I've seen games where someone just goes, I think it was in one of the Baldur's Gate add-ons that came way later down the line. Someone was like, "Oh, hi, I'm trans," and there was like a whole 20-minute lecture, and I'm like, "Well, that's no
This
person,
is what a trans person is.
no person talks like that in real life."
Yeah.
But
I think
Lev sounds like an actual living human being in those
Right.
interactions,
And
with
that
him.
whole situation, as as realistic as it could be in a post-apocalyptic world with fucking clicking monsters around,
right?
it felt real. Like it felt
Mhm.
genuine, and I believed every
Right.
single moment of it.
Yeah,
Right.
and that also goes with the conversation between Yara and Abby, like when they're looking for a gift for Lev, and
Mhm.
it's like a kind of a throwaway line throughout that whole thing. Like if you're not really paying attention, it'll completely blow you by. Like I know people that still didn't even pick this whole Lev being trans thing up, really. But there's a thing where Yara refers to Lev as she.
Yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
kind of like it just like it's not like they wait on that moment for you to kind of soak that in. It's just part of the sentence and part of the conversation. And Yara keeps going with it. And there's no like gasps or like,
right.
it's just
Right.
what it's normal. It's what life is for them. And
Yeah.
it's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Also, just two phenomenal fucking characters. I love
Fantastic.
They were
Right.
great.
all the
They were
characters.
really.
You know,
well done.
I'm just sad that Yara is just so short-lived in this game. That's like my one biggest like, oh
Yeah.
man, like her screen time was so great, and then like she lost her arm, and that was kind of like insane how like, her bones are broken. She's gonna lose her arm. You got to go find supplies, like cut off the arm. She survives the surgery, and it's like great, like we have a hope now, and then you still fucking kill her. And just to remind you, this game is not about rainbows and unicorns and lollipops and roses. Like
No.
nothing, you are not spared in this game. Like no one is free. Like the plot will not save you in this game.
Yeah, no. Exactly. Well, it saves one person
Right.
who is clearly shot in the head, but it's fine.
No. So when that happened, so you play through Abby, you get Lev, you get to the point where you run into, you go to the theater and you play the other side of when Ellie and Jesse burst through the door, shoot Jesse in the bean.
Steven, can we stop you there real quick?
Yeah.
So I want to mention the scene with Lev and Abby on the sky bridge.
Skybridge. So good.
Just her, yeah.
And after playing it and
Her
now
vertigo.
replaying the intro because I'm going for the platinum, and in the tutorial mission as Abby, she's freaked out of the cliff.
Yep.
And you don't think about it, and then go into Laura Bailey's performance, which shout out Laura Bailey.
As somebody
Holy
who
crap.
was petrified from heights,
Mhm.
oh my god, I felt that so hard. I hated
My
it.
legs literally shake.
Yeah.
Like when I was like, I just pushed forward and went as fast as I could. I was not
Yeah.
fucking around with
That whole
section.
thing
And then-
That
falling
was
into the
terrifying.
pool, like
That
Yeah.
too, like I thought I was trying to rush through it because I felt like super anxious. I thought
Yeah.
I fucked up with her falling
Mhm.
into the pool and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, showing that she's human, that she
Exactly.
like, for someone that's so physically powerful, has such a big vulnerability and weakness,
Yeah.
like heights. And you have just seeing her with Lev, who just leaps with ease and
Yeah.
so carefree. And she's like, "How are you doing this? How are you not scared to death right now?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is something we can touch on later when we like start wrapping up or like have closing thoughts. But as a quote unquote villain, like the antagonist or whatever, even though again there's no villains in this game, there's no good guys, no bad guys. Just the way they handle Abby compared to how they handled David in the first game,
Yeah.
Mm.
it is night and day.
Mhm.
And goddamn, it makes David seem like such a video game ass character.
Yeah.
Like,
The other thing we kind of touched on it before, but the new infected,
Yeah.
Let alone the bloaters, who are
Right.
way more formidable in this one, and I love that they actually felt like bosses.
Mhm.
But when you're in the hospital looking for the equipment to do the surgery for Yara, and you go in to try the doors to see what works, and at least this is how it worked for me. You hear the noise of this thing that sounds way louder than a bloater, and I instantly went into listen mode. And I saw this gigantic outline that is way bigger than anything I've ever.
That's not how I knew it was there.
I was like, that is not a bloater. What is that? And then thinking about the state of play where Neil T's like, oh, there's things even bigger than bloaters out there. And
there's a pamphlet that I found.
Oh,
I picked up a pamphlet and it said stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4.
Yeah, I
and
that one up.
4.
Okay.
I was like, that looks scary. I don't like that.
And that
fucking
was
thing.
like the ground zero of
Yes.
this first that was kind of neat being in that space.
Yeah,
and
no, go ahead.
that was like for me the only real like Resident Evil kind of moment in this game.
Dude.
I felt like I was playing RE4. I swear.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, and just all the
light and everything.
all the notes and like the environmental storytelling throughout, just like describing all these different patients who were there day one, and like you just think like, yeah, these people are here for a very long time. And I had a similar thing with Kyle where I tried the door, I heard like the banging and the roar. I tried to play this game without listen mode as much as possible. I started like doing it at the end just because
it's our grounded mode flashbacks.
But yeah, I like playing it more, for lack of a better term, grounded without listening mode. So I didn't do that so I didn't realize you could see the outline, but I just do like, oh fuck, there's something back there.
Which, by the way, it's called the Rat King.
Which I love.
Yes.
Which
I
if you unlock
art.
it's so good.
It looks so
Dude.
fucking good, dude.
Another real quick aside to other infected.
Well, before we move on from the Rat King, I love that when you are about to quote unquote win, and the motherfucker splits in half, and then the boy runs away.
It ties in.
You take him out, you take the big guy out, and then you just hear screaming, and Abby's like, "Oh shit, he's still out there."
So that kind of ties in what I was going to say is shout out to the improvement of stalkers from the first
Stalkers
game.
were mint.
When you are looking around and you know they're in there, and like you just pan the flashlight over a dark room, and then you see them hide behind a desk. Like, oh man,
Terrifying.
I don't like this at all.
They remind me of cats.
Yeah,
like just the mischievous cat that wants to like slap you in the leg as you're walking by and you don't see him under the table.
2019 masterpiece cats. Yes,
yes, exactly. But those were the most fun conflicts for me. We're chasing down stalkers and trying to lure them out and find them and stuff. That was a blast.
Because they don't show up on listen mode. They do not show up on listen mode.
They show up on using your eyeballs. So like, what was that? And he's like, peekaboo.
And then they come from behind you because they also, another thing the infected do in this game, which is awesome for the gameplay, they just run straight through walls. They go in the cracks of the walls and stuff.
They're also inside the fucking walls.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
And there's a great line from Abby where it's like, fuck these guys. When you're in that hotel with Lev.
There was one, I don't remember if it was Abby. Yeah, I think it was with Abby. One of them says, "Oh, they're coming through. Now they're coming through the fucking walls." Something like that. It was great. It was good. Yeah.
I love how like self-aware some of the throwaway lines are with like Abby saying like now they're coming through the walls, and also like there's the moment because like with Lavin Yara there's like no sense of like humor or like they're very like one note or whatever. Where like in the hotel at some point Abby does say early on like fuck this place, and then later on after like a scary encounter Lev's like, fuck this place. Yeah. I love that.
There's another one I took a screenshot of, like when we first took control of Abby, where she talks about to the girl with the Vita, but as she's walking away, she says, "Fucking video games."
Yep.
I'm like, hell yes, I cannot wait to share this because it's awesome. I love this.
One of my favorite moments that really made me laugh was when they get out of I think it was the hotel or whatever from the Sky Bridge, and Lev just goes, "That's the elevator we could have used if you didn't fuck up." Like basically saying that, and I was yeah.
And just another like Lev saying cold instead of cool.
Right.
Yeah. I love it.
This game, like as dark as it is, there's so many like great lighthearted moments, funny moments, and God, that's so important in this kind of story.
Yeah.
Before we move on from the hotel, did anybody else struggle to find the fucking Wi-Fi password for the safe?
Yes,
I opened saves without the code.
Yeah.
So I did. So there was that one that I struggled with, which I eventually found the Wi-Fi password. But then the other one was the calendar where it was the 30th anniversary.
Oh,
my
that one,
mind,
yeah.
my mind at 3:00 in the morning did not think to subtract 30 from 2014.
No
so I
math.
kept fucking
I can't
trying.
do math.
So I just, I cracked that case by listening. And then when I saw what the last number was 80, whatever, I was like, oh, you fucking idiot.
I think this is probably the best time to talk about it, but the accessibility with this game is nuts. The fact that you don't need to find the codes to unlock the safe, you can do it by sound if you're keen enough. And like, I don't know if you've messed with like the menus for accessibility and see everything that is in there, but like, it is so impressive.
You could play everything with basically no textures, just red characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Running around,
Interacting objects with gold, you know what you can interact with. Auto pickup, so you can just walk by stuff and they'll pick it up automatically, like ingredients and stuff. You can change the menu colors. Like I played for a little bit, everything was in green. I was like, this is a cool look. I like this.
One of the things that blew my mind away, like just playing this game, is and so many games get this wrong. But this game, for some reason, gets it right. When you're walking by things and just spamming triangle, the characters like actually turn and grab the thing.
Yep.
They
it's way
put
better
their
than the first
fingers
game.
Around the item,
breaking
pull it
arms
to their body, and like they're like Spider-Man, just like bringing. But it looks fantastic.
The one thing I wish they did, and it's a tiny thing, but when you pick up health pickups, you never see them actually eat it. It's just like you pick it up and
you hear like an unwrapping crunching sound. Like
that's about it.
Why aren't
Or
you
just
actually
like,
eating
or
the
just,
thing?
or just going like, oh, this is horrible.
Oh, this 25-year-old Twinkie. Oh,
so good. It's so good.
You're right there, cowboy. Just ate 1,000-year-old Twinkie.
Can we discuss the ending of Abby's part of the game, going into Haven, and just the absolute fucking war zone, and just on horseback while there's just
on my TV this is the most gorgeous this game has ever looked to me.
We should mention there's like a little bit of a B plot with the Seraphites and the Wolves here, how there's like a land dispute between both of them, and Isaac's idea is go all out warfare, kill them all, and that's how we end the fighting, basically.
Well,
what happened was
there
was a
group of
peace,
kids, right?
Right.
So there was a peace treaty.
But there was,
and their leader, their god, whatever, she died.
Isaac killed the prophet.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, I didn't catch that part. But whenever the
torture,
prophet,
right?
Tortured and killed.
When the prophet dies, the Seraphites kind of lost their code. They started to do things a little crazy. Like I think Yara might have said it. One of them said basically they interpret her teachings differently now that she's dead.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds
right. Exactly. So yeah, there's that whole B plot, and it's basically whoever shot first. It's like a Han Solo thing. Who shot first? We don't know.
Well, it was more of someone is going to shoot first eventually. Us or them is going to happen at some point. So we'll just strike first and just get it over with. That was Isaac's line of thinking. There
was a line from Yara. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was like Abby questioning, like, "Yo, you guys are like hanging people and doing all this violent shit." Like, but Yara was like, "Well, we weren't always like that. What do you expect us to do when you kill our one like saving grace?"
Right.
Like we were peaceful until you guys came in.
Yeah, it was that, and I think the Wolves broke that treaty afterwards, like because they killed kids. They killed a group of kids because they were messing around too close or something. Like either the Seraphites killed wolf kids or it was one of the thing. But like
and like the Isaac killing the prophet was like the final fucking straw, I think.
Yeah,
and we should also mention at this point Owen is on the outs with the Wolves and Abby now because she's gone to go see Owen who killed one of the wolves because he was going to kill a kid essentially.
I think it was an old man, wasn't it?
Or was it an old man? Yeah,
it was the old man. Yep.
But again, it was just he was questioning what are they really doing here? Like, why am I?
They're just killing for some
can't defend himself.
Right.
There's
I even think Owen didn't shoot Danny. I think at the end of the day.
Well, Abby was like it was self-defense.
Self-defense.
Self-defense. That's right. Okay. Yep.
And then there's that line of like Owen saying, again, I'm going to butcher it, but when did we stop following the light, or when did we lose the light, or stop looking for the light? Like going back to the whole Fireflies thing, and that was like Owen's turn of like, yeah, we need to fucking stop, which is the path that Abby's been on. Really quick, also since we're talking about Isaac a lot, shout out to Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Fucking wild. Like, granted, the Westworld connection with Haley, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, he was cool.
What a cool.
But yeah,
I love how they handled Isaac throughout, because you're picking up just like notes and like environmental storytelling, just mentioning Isaac. I didn't think we'd actually ever see Isaac, but then the reveal of fucking Jeffrey Wright was so fucking cool.
What was your favorite like plot from Collectibles?
Ooh,
Boris for me.
Boris is really good. I love Max's storyline with
really
his
cool.
overprotective dad in the aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Max's room.
Max's room.
Yeah. That was...
And going off with the Seraphites. I loved. I forgot was Boris the one with the bow and arrow?
I think Boris was on the ship,
Mhm.
the quarantine like ship with the bow and arrow. Yeah,
or
crossbow.
I just
not the
love how.
crossbow. So
I love how Isaac has this like he creates a fear of God around him. Like all the wolves think if you get on his bad side, you're fucked.
yeah.
Like, there's a bit of a cult mentality in that group as well, which is I think a little ironic considering how they hate the Seraphites so much.
Yeah. Another note that's coming to mind really quick. I forgot the person's name or like the family surrounding it, but you do follow a string of notes similar to Ish in the first game. That end like they're showing that like this dude is like a bow and arrow champion and stuff, and like all of his trophies and awards and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends with you finding him in the fucking garage.
And he's the stalker.
And yeah, he's a stalker with the bow and arrow on him.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Also, the thing where you're going on a workbench in the hotel, the apartments.
Oh my god!
And there's another room, and you go to check it, and it's locked and whatever. And you go over to the workbench, and then the room of Seraphites or wolves. Were there wolves? There were wolves.
It was wolves. Yeah,
come in and ambush you while you're at the workbench.
Man.
Made me jump so
got
hard.
me. That got me.
I don't. Wait, did I? Yeah, that must have happened to me.
It was an optional thing.
It was optional.
If it was optional, then I don't think it did. I don't think I got that.
What a good moment. I love that.
So I want to just quickly say that there's one thing that consistently made me pause the game and clear my throat because I got a knot in my throat was anytime I saw anything about children, like the children's books, seeing a kid's room, like just because of having the two kids, like I'm just like I was like, oh fuck. Like every time I paused and I was like,
did you
hang on a second?
Going back to the beginning of the game in Jackson, did you notice the little girl hopping down the steps with Dad?
I followed her. I followed her the whole time.
So good.
Because the animation was unbelievable.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Did they put little fucking balls on some little shit kid and like follow it around? It was perfect. It was perfect.
It was perfect.
Like, oh my
yeah.
God. Those little stubby arms. That's exactly. Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I turned around and I just followed the dad. It was the dad. I think.
I didn't do this.
It's right by the daycare in Jackson. Like there's a little toddler just hopping downstairs, and Dad is helping her. It's a very lovely, beautiful moment. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So should we flash towards the final moments of the game here, or at least what we thought was the ending of this game? We
had the flaming island where they're warring.
Gorgeous set piece moment, by the way.
Oh god, yeah. But you get up to that big brolic dude. The wolf,
the face thing,
and you slice his face open. And
he was a scar.
Why wouldn't he die?
No, he was a
scar.
I
don't think he was.
He was a scar.
Was it? Because
Abby reopened the scar. That's how she did the thing.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't. I just know that he was gigantic, and you fish hook him with your little knife or whatever, and it cuts all the way up to his ear, and I thought the fight was over. Like I thought he was gonna like fall over and then fall off, but he just like shakes it off and is like, "Let's fucking go, bro!" And yeah, they just go toe to toe, and it was. It was
also right before this point. You lose all your backpack.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna bring this up,
and I was like, I'm not ready to say goodbye to Abby. I wanted to keep playing with that, but still, the moment where they take everything away from you again.
Yeah,
I was like, "No, my flamethrower!"
Well. Kyle, I thought you were going to go back even further, but speaking of like the big enemies, at some point with Abby, you get knocked out and like a big enemy takes your backpack. You find the enemy again, and she's like, "Are you wearing my backpack?"
Yeah.
Bertha, Big Bertha, I call her. There was like 3 of them that you fight, but yeah, those fights are cool too. She's got the giant fucking hammer, and you're like, "Come on!"
They remind me of Miss Trunchbull from Matilda.
Yeah,
that's who she look like to me.
So yeah, I guess continue, Andy.
Right. So we escape Haven with Lev, because at this point his sister is dead, his mother is dead. That was a fucked up scene altogether.
Oh, he had to kill his own mother,
Right.
Because she was ratting him out because she was more devout.
Yeah. Right. Well, she was ready to kill him at that point. So again,
And all he did was push.
Self-defense. Yeah, just self-defense. That's another drop line that happens multiple times throughout the game. So all this pain and suffering, they get back to the aquarium where they expect Owen and Mel to be gassing up the sailboat to go to Santa Barbara, where they think fireflies are living somewhere out there, based on some rumors that Owen has heard. She gets there, she finds fucking Owen's dead, Mel is dead, and Lev sees Ellie's map that she's been highlighting points of interest, where Nora is, where the aquarium is, and just tracking Abby's movement throughout the entire game. And now we're as Abby tracking down Ellie, and we're in front of the theater, and we're basically full circle now at this point. To where the first half of the game ended.
That was the thing. One of the things she circled was like where the home base was,
theater.
like where the theater where they were going to hole up. So it's like I know where to go now. There's no guesswork here.
I had a moment early on when you're playing as Ellie in the theater. I think it was when you first get to the theater and you're trying to find the generator, where you go outside, and I noticed that ladder. I was like, oh, weird, I can't go down there. Okay, let me just continue. And then with Abby going around, I was like, oh, the fucking ladder, Ellie.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is what I think.
Also, really quick, when you get in that window and go into the office where the radio is, did you guys hang around with the radio for a bit?
It does say a few things, right?
Yeah, it's just going over the entire battle in Haven of like they're asking, somebody on the island is like saying like, "Hey, we're getting destroyed. Where the hell is the backup?" And just like keep cutting in and out and like not really getting an answer.
Oh, we skipped over the whole thing with Abby and Tommy.
Oh, the sniper section?
Oh,
Like,
the sniper
yeah,
section.
like the whole sniper
yeah,
section
that
where
was-
it's like, oh, this guy's fucking good.
Right.
And every time I peeked my head out, my head was blown off. I was like, holy shit.
We have not mentioned Manny also, who is
Right.
fucking
Oh,
phenomenal.
I know.
Hated
he's
him
great
in the
too.
scene where Abby killed Joel.
Of course,
Despised
Yeah.
him.
Manny's
But
the man.
I love Manny. Yeah.
Love Manny.
He does cut that line to get the breakfast burritos at one point, like an
That's
asshole.
It's very true.
Did you guys walk over to Manny when he was talking to his dad?
No.
Yes, I did.
God,
Man, I didn't do
heartbreaking.
this part.
Dad is like, from what I'm assuming, is early onset Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Like he's very shaky,
Yeah,
and he tells Abby like, "Please take care of him. I need my
Oh
boy."
my god. Oh my god.
And like,
Oh
man,
no, he doesn't make it. He doesn't
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, that
Tommy
was
takes
brutal.
that was a cool sniper thing. Taking the first sniper section from the first game I despised so much, and this one was so much better. To the point
As
where
soon
it's
as
like,
you realize it was
can
him,
prone.
it's like,
No.
How long did it take you to realize it was Tommy? Because it took me like just before I got into the building.
when
like, oh,
she
fuck,
says
Tommy.
I
this
shot at
fucking
him.
guy, when she says this guy's fucking good,
Yeah,
that's when I was like, oh, it's Tommy.
Yeah.
Because Tommy's the one that teaches you sniping in the game.
Sniping, yeah.
which is another cool section.
Yeah.
Right.
That was
There's-
really cool.
Oh, there's
So
so
much
many
in
good
this
parts
game.
in this game.
So
There's so many good parts.
God,
So yeah,
but
now we're back to where we were half of the game ago. It's Abby and Ellie face to face.
super cool knowing now that Lev was on the other side
on
of
the
Tommy
side,
the entire
right.
time.
We have Jesse with his eye shot out, back of his head, and Tommy's on the floor. And we get what I think is one of the most memorable boss fights in gaming in a very long time. When we think about the best fights in a video game, boss fights, we think about Psycho Manus, we think about all of Shadow of the Colossus. This little cat and mouse thing, when you're as Abby stalking Ellie, is such a mind fuck. And it's in this red tinted space that just highlights all of the rage.
Walking
really
through that
quick,
earlier, I was
anger.
like, this is a set piece moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing something here.
Also, really quick, the use of red in dark
Mhm.
places throughout this game.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Fuck
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
art director. Yes.
Mhm.
Right.
Gave me
And just-
control vibes.
Right.
in the
Oh my
best
god. Oh
ways.
yes. And just like there's like the several, it's all done in chunks. Like you sneak up on her, you land a few hits, then she's setting up little bombs everywhere. It's like it just keeps escalating.
All the things you
The-
use as Ellie is being used
Yeah.
against you.
Yeah.
And I
Cool-
was
the coolest thing,
yelling.
there was one moment where I charged Ellie.
Oh, I did too.
and then you die, and
Yeah.
then it says, "Hey, don't fucking charge Ellie." Like
Right.
in the
Yeah.
thing, it's like, "Oh, that's right. She's good. Like
Yeah.
she could actually like I've been playing as her forever. No, she can handle herself."
This
Like,
is
just
a
dude,
better
that whole
version
moment.
of the David fight from the first
Yeah,
one.
Like,
going into
yes.
this, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, another David fight. But no, it's, again, just another improved thing like the sniper section.
I really
Yeah.
thought that they were going to make me kill Ellie as
Me
Abby.
too.
Mhm.
I was not
And
happy about
he
it.
almost
Right.
does.
Yep.
Yep, it gets close, and then we have Dina come in, who gets fucking slashed to fucking
Oh
all
my
hell.
God.
And then it's
Just
weird how we
taking her
have,
head and
Yeah.
boom right on the floor.
it's I love this part because we have Ellie saying, "Don't, she's pregnant." And I'm like, well, yeah, well, fuck you. You killed my pregnant friend. I'll kill your pregnant friend.
Yeah, just Abby saying good.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
And then
then
Lev
yeah.
stops her from
Yeah.
doing it. Give it, and the same way Ellie stopped Joel from murdering a lot of innocent people and stuff like that, and was kind of his conscience
Mhm.
for a lot of the darker moments in part one. But also, wait, what was I going to say? We did not talk about two other moments that I guess you can't really overlook too much, but Owen does cheat on Mel
yes.
Right.
with Abby in a little sex scene that we get, and she wakes up, with him on the boat and all that stuff. So there was
Right.
that. So there's still a relationship there, and that was part of the reason why she was leaving with him on the boat, is because she still had a connection with
Mel
him.
didn't want her to go with them. She was
Yeah,
like,
Right.
You can't.
There was an
go with us."
ultimatum.
Right.
Yeah.
There was that whole little love triangle. But then also Ellie sleeps with Dina as well, that we kind of just went over, but they find Eugene's pot den.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
they get
That was
super
cute.
high.
That was cute.
and they're all goofy together and everything
Right.
like that. And then Jesse catches them.
yeah.
Right.
So that was just a little moment as well that I want to make sure we didn't throw away. But
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
There-
plenty of
there-
little small stuff. Like
in the-
Yara
in-
playing patch with Alice is another great moment.
Great
too.
moment.
yeah,
And in the weed den, or whatever you want to call it, there is the Crash Bandicoot reference. The
Smash Bandicoot.
yeah,
Cooch or
Smash
something like that?
Or
Bandicoot.
did
something
you
like
guys
that.
see the what was it?
they're
Didn't we
PlayStation 3s.
Yeah,
everywhere.
they're everywhere.
Everybody had a
Which
PS3.
makes sense.
There was a
It
Jack and
makes sense.
Daxter cartridge
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
And
Jack and Daxter and Uncharted
Two.
two.
two. And similar to Left Behind, they in the arcade section they brought back the Jack X racing
Yep.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
and the
And-
Left Behind cabinet.
Yeah,
Right.
the Angel Knives, I think, right?
Yeah, it wasn't good. Your character was Angel Knives. I forgot what the game was called.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, how many of you thought at this point that when Abby was like, "Let me never see your, I don't want to see your face ever again," basically, like, we're done, this is over. Like, I have now spared you twice and your pregnant friend. Like, we're done. Just walk away. And then we cut to, it looks like better part of a year later. We have Ellie
yeah.
with Dina and baby
Potato.
yeah,
JJ.
and baby JJ.
baby.
I assume it was Jesse Jr. at that point. I mean,
No,
it's-
Jesse
No.
Joel.
Jesse
Joel.
Joel.
It's Jesse Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil confirmed it's not Junior.
Right. And you think like, okay, this kind of makes sense. This is where the story kind of ends for Ellie, because
Yeah.
there's a moment in one of the flashback scenes when Ellie confronts Joel about what he did,
Yeah.
years back. And I love how even though he admits what he did, how he essentially killed them all to spare her life, and
Mm.
he denied the world a potential cure for the infection. And she says that he had no right because her life would have had meaning in some way
Right.
if she gave her life to have a cure come out of it. The game, they don't betray Joel's former self. He still says, if I could do it all over again, I had the same exact decision.
Well, you're melding two
Yeah.
scenes together.
That's
a
the
little
very
bit.
last
Right.
flashback.
Right.
Yeah, the life meaning
Oh,
and
yeah, that's
Joel
right,
saying I'll do it
right.
all over again. That's the final scene of the
Right,
game.
right,
But
right.
yeah, the conversation was Ellie saying like, listen, like this is when she explored the hospital and
Mhm.
is seeing the evidence that like something bad went down, that Joel was clearly fucking lying.
Mhm.
And Joel meets up with her angry at first, gives her a big hug, like, please, you can't go on your own, blah, blah, blah. Ellie pushes him away
Mhm.
and says like, listen, you need to tell me what happened that day. If you don't tell me, you'll never see me again. But if you do tell me, no matter what, I will go back to
Right,
Jackson.
right.
And then reveals what actually happened. Ellie's clearly furious. She does go back to Jackson, but that's the last time they actually speak until the ballroom dance thing, which we'll see in a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, but going with the farm, like we were talking about, like moments that were lighthearted and like, you know, gave us a little bit of joy. This whole farm thing, I was just smile ear to ear.
Yep.
Ellie going behind Dina and dancing with her with the music on, like playing with JJ. It's just like
in the mirror, like his reflection.
In the mirror,
goofing off with him.
It felt like an epilogue.
Yeah,
right.
It did.
It felt like this is where it's going to end.
It felt like the end of Uncharted 4. And I was like, oh shit, okay, we're actually getting a happy ending. That's fucking weird. I love Ellie's art room, like her office.
Yep.
That she's like achieving everything that she like wanted to be. I love that this was Dina's idea of an ideal future, and we actually got it.
Yeah.
But
And you know, it's and it's what we're seeing here is Ellie's life has meaning now. She's a mother, she's a loving partner, and she's no longer like, at least as far as we know, like is fueled by just revenge and hatred.
Also, shout out to one of the sheeps named Eugene.
Oh yeah.
all the sheep's names. I forgot all of them, but they're all fun.
Yeah.
They're and when you're wrangling up the sheep, you realize that Ellie's really not out of it yet. She's actually really, really damaged. Because
she's haunted by his death still.
There was
clearly PTSD situation.
Yeah.
One of the sheep knocks over a little shovel, it slams down and it triggers her seeing Joel get his head smashed in, and like she collapses. And apparently this is not something that is new. This has been happening over and over again to her because Dina was right there getting her out of it, bringing her back. It clearly has PTSD from this whole situation. So that was another way to just kind of humanize her after all the brutal shit she both went through and also did herself, which was nice to see as well. And
then Tommy shows up. He's
alive.
We thought he was dead for a bit because I thought he was gone. I was like,
Same.
did it kill Tommy too?
Oh yeah, I knew he wasn't, just the way his body turned when he got shot. Like I knew it was just like it hit his like cheek or ear or whatever.
It was like
there
the Game of Thrones rule. We didn't see him die.
Right.
Yeah.
So technically,
and clearly fucked up. His face is all scarred. He's limping. Maria left him, presumably because, like Ellie, he's still driven by obsession.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's there with a new lead on Abby. Like, I think, she's going to be in Santa Barbara and we got to go get her. And Ellie is like, we're done with this. And Tommy is like very taken aback.
But like the way Ellie says we're done with this, I think she looks at Dina, or Dina's like cross-armed, like looking at her, and Ellie puts her head down like, we're done with this. Like she's like kind of on autopilot in a way, like she has to be done with it, but like clearly she wants to go after. And Tommy said, I believe Tommy says like, you have to go after her because Tommy he can't, because he has to live through Ellie through this, like to get his revenge.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it goes on for
this is my criticism. This is like it's my, I could only equate it to like Return of the King. Like there's so many endings at this point that they could have stopped at. Not that I hated it all.
That's what I'm saying. At the same time, I loved it.
Like, and then
this was like first off, we get the moment where Ellie decides to go to Santa Barbara to pursue Abby, and a heartbreaking fucking moment between her and Dina, and just me being fucking furious at Ellie. Like, stop, just stay. You have the perfect life, baby girl. Don't do this. But for me, Kyle, you said it was the Return of the King moment. For me, this is the Red Dead Redemption moment. I was like, oh, fuck. We're going back to Mexico, baby. Let's do it. Let's go.
Coming out of retirement.
Right. Yeah. And I think this is my main point here is of contention with the game's actual ending is we've gone through this whole transformation of we want to see Abby dead for a huge portion of the game. Then the game humanizes her. And it's on us to say, I think at this point, enough is enough between both these characters. And then we see Ellie's happy life with a child and someone that she loves and cares about. But then the game tells you, forget all that. This whole revenge fantasy, this thing matters still. And we must see it through
to Ellie, at least.
Right, to Ellie. Oh, and then by us too, as extension of Ellie.
Sure, yeah.
As the player. And it says, we're going to forsake everything in our life at this point.
And
to-
we mentioned at the top of this, I think, Andy, you mentioned this, that Tommy does say to Maria, like, he's confidently saying, like, no, I'm going to come back. Like, once this is done, I'm coming back. Ellie says the exact same thing to Dina. Like,
Right.
Dina says, like, I'm just going to sit here wondering if you're dead or not every single day. And Ellie's like, I'm not going to die. I'm coming back. And Dina's furious at that. And
that to me said two things. It was said, yes, she's confident, but it also made me feel like she wasn't going there to really kill Abby. I think a part of her was going there to just get the closure of it all.
Yeah.
And
the closure is her death, though.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think on the surface, like, that's the emotion she's showing, but at the same time, she has proven time and time again that she isn't that person. She has regret.
What is she going there? What is she going there for, if not to kill Abby?
I think what it comes is like, okay, that's the easy reason. The easy reason where I'm going to go there, I'm going to fucking kill her. But the whole time she's going there, she's like, what do I say? What am I going to say to her when I find her? What do I want her to know that I feel about her? Like, do I want to apologize for something on behalf of Joel? Like there's all these emotions that you go through, like, even as a player, like, when you think about the things that you want to get revenge on, like, how many times have you gotten so heated at somebody and then when you come face to face with them, you squash it, you somehow end up talking through it and squash it? Like, I just felt like there was, like, a part of her, like the human part of her was actually part of the intrigue of wanting to go there and find her. But this is now also, it didn't end on her terms. It didn't end on her terms.
It's also festering in her for the better part of a year at this point.
I don't know. I'm with Steven, where, like, I thought, like, she was going to go there to find some sort of closure. I didn't think she was going to end up going the route that she goes. Like, for some reason, like, in my mind, I was like, okay, so we're going to go to Santa Barbara. You know, we might join her on her quest to find the Fireflies. Like
that's
maybe,
that's where I was. I was like, no, like maybe they find some common ground, work together. Like, I was thinking, like, that could be something that happens with the two of them. Because I did grow to like both of them so much, but in for different reasons. Like, I liked Ellie's resolve and Ellie's survivor instincts, and the fact that she doesn't lose her innocence and her humanity with all the shit she's been through. And then Abby, it's like she becomes a guardian of somebody, and the epilogue or whatever, the final thing that you play as her is like, whoa,
that's all fine. But Ellie says several times in the final chunk of the game that the infected bear down to kill her before she got to her, or the rattlers bear down to kill her before she got to her. She was going there to kill Abby. That was her intention.
I think that's just her reasoning with herself.
She says it very clear. And also, listen, dude, she gets the flashbacks, the PTSD. She's traumatized by this, and in her mind, peace is Abby's death.
I don't even think it was like, I still think, like, even with those lines, just the way she delivered those lines, I don't think it was clear that she knew what she was going to do yet. Like, even the final scene of her putting her shit in the boat, I think at that moment, once she puts her stuff down on the boat and Abby is right behind her, that's when she has the moment of, like, she's still consumed by her obsession.
Right. Because
I don't think she says, that moment.
You know, I can't let you go.
I think that's the moment where she's like, she snaps again.
I can see it both ways. I think I'm with Andy on this, where I fully believe Ellie was going to kill Abby, but at the end of the section, seeing the state Abby was in is when the turn happened, where Ellie was just like, well, I think she's been through enough, and I think we can kind of go our separate ways, and then
after I beat the shit out of her for a little bit first.
Like I said earlier, it was before. Like I said earlier, I think she saw Joel in Abby, and I think that was when she said, "You got to be Joel. I'm not gonna be your Abby. I'm not gonna be Lev's Abby in this story, because it's just gonna cycle. It's just a cycle that's gonna go on and on." And so you get up so you play this whole thing where you find where Abby is gonna be. And then you play, or is it you play as Abby first?
You play as Abby first.
Yeah. You play as Abby first.
You
find
a hint
that
of where
Fireflies
Fireflies
exist.
Thing is. Yeah.
Right, and then you get captured by some cult or whatever.
A brand new faction that we didn't know shit about.
Right.
Yeah, like,
it's like,
here they are.
And shout out to Travis Willingham being the main big dude.
Travis Willingham was?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool.
And then you play as Ellie, going through basically the same path, just like a few months behind her. I think they said a month. No,
a few months ago, I believe.
It was like it was. I think he said 2 months ago. Is
Something like that.
The really jacked girl came in here,
and earlier
with the little boy.
Earlier we talked about how like no one is evil. I think the Rattlers are full on evil people.
They have like slaves and shit. They're evil.
100%.
They're 100% evil.
They catch
I felt
people to turn them.
These guys are the typical hunters from the first game. It feels like.
Yeah.
I had no remorse when Ellie was John Wicking everybody.
Hell no.
No remorse.
Yo, the moment where she's laughing at the one dude when she's on the floor, pushes him into the clicker. She gets bit also, and then the other dude just like fucking lights her up. And then she takes the submachine gun and just sweeps his fucking knees. And the moment they lock eyes,
weapon, by the way,
awesome weapon. I was wondering early on, I didn't pop the trophy for all the weapons. I was like, how the fuck did I miss a weapon? And the moment where they lock eyes, and it's similar to Nora, but this moment, Ellie doesn't reveal her cards of him saying like, you're infected. You're not gonna fucking make it anyway. She looks at the bite and just says, talk.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Ellie.
That was incredible, and running through it, and then finally you get to, so Abby had been brought to the pillars, I think they called it.
Pillars,
she attempted to escape, and they punished her.
They're essentially crucifixions.
I walked around forever trying to find her because I walked
you don't
up,
recognize her.
I walked up to the one, and I love that Naughty Dog did this. There's one woman up there with a braid.
Yep.
Straight ahead.
I did the same thing.
And I was like, why is there no interaction for me to, start this out? And then I turn and I hear where the audio is coming from. And you see someone that is not the Abby we know. Hair all cut
like
up.
Totally
emaciated.
Yeah.
Muscle atrophy. And, she cuts him down, or cuts them both down.
Man, I'd be so pissed after all that bulking work I did to get the mask going. Those gains. You lose all your gains.
Like completely different, like just
she lost
shell.
all of her muscle mass. It was gone completely.
Yeah.
She says there's a boat over here. You get Lev is in worse shape, if you can imagine. Loads Lev on the boat, and then that's when you get the moment, I can't let you go, we got to do this, we got to throw down. And I absolutely hated the fact that Ellie had the knife still. Like doing that fight with it. I know the knife meant something to her, but I feel like it was unfair.
What did you feel like when she had the knife at Lev's throat? Like, if you don't fight me, I will kill this kid.
Yeah,
I didn't. I was calling her on her bluff. It was to me it was a bluff. I don't think she would have killed Lev.
No.
That's just me. Like, I think more of Ellie.
I think she would have killed that kid.
I think at this point she would have. She's so unhinged.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, but so whatever. They do a Metal Gear Solid 4 fist fight, which I loved.
Yeah.
And then the only time to openly make me sob was when they forced me to smash the square button to drown Abby. And I'm sitting there and I'm holding Abby underwater and I'm like, please don't make me do this. I really don't want to fucking do this. And that was when I started to openly weep playing the game. I was like, don't lose this. Don't lose this humanity, Ellie. Don't lose this. Don't do it. And then she doesn't do it. She lets her up.
You think you think that's when she would have lost her humanity? I think she lost it when she left Dina and her baby.
No,
that's already gone for her.
I think she thought that Dina. Well, she clearly thought Dina would still be there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So she did. She showed up there to hope that her life would still be there.
You didn't mention one great part of this whole fight. That Abby bites off 2 of Ellie's fingers.
Well, I was going to get there. Yeah. She doesn't bite them off. She severely damages them later. That
she
they
did enough damage as it was.
Also, to me, another symbolic moment that Ellie loses her knife in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. She loses her knife in the ocean, and then after
she gets a flashback, right?
So yeah, she gets as she's drowning Abby. She gets a flash of Joel, like the first happy flash of Joel playing guitar.
Right.
Like right after she bites off the fingers.
And it's ironic because, and this is where the total imagery and the symbolism comes in is, you let her go. She goes off with Lev. Essentially, that's Joel and Ellie going off into the sunset, going on to their next adventure. And you're just this defeated, woman. And you go back to the farmhouse. You see she's missing 2 fingers. You're going through the whole house. You're seeing that Dina left, but she left her studio intact. And then you pick up the guitar and you're trying to play the song and it sounds like shit and you can't play it. And that to me was the symbolic severing of her ties to Joel, and the pain was
I agree.
she physically lost the two fingers. She lost Dina and she lost Joel. And those two fingers, she can no longer connect to Joel with that song. And that was the official just anchor coming loose of, I no longer have to do this. I don't have to get this revenge anymore. I don't have to be this person anymore. I don't have to live in the shadow of my revenge, my vengeance for what happened to my father figure, my Joel, whatever. And it took to physically, like, that was the physical embodiment of that sever, of not being able to play that song.
I completely agree with every single word you just said. And as you said, the first moment you openly weeped is you.
That was the second moment.
Yeah, this was so throughout the entire game. I kept, like, Kyle and I were kind of texting back and forth. He was like a little ahead of me, so I was like updating him on where I was at. Throughout the entire game, even with Joel's death, I just felt numb the entire fucking game.
Exactly. Yep.
And this was the moment, as I'm like, as somebody who plays guitar, right there, I hearing the chords not hitting correctly and just like her struggling to like get the right fingering going, that broke me. And oh my god. And then we get the flashback.
You guys over here with your 2 times weeping. I had 28 times that I was weeping openly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird. Like, I thought I would. Like, I felt like crying, but I just felt so numb throughout. And like, I don't know. It's somehow worse.
It was the last flashback is what I think. I was destroyed when Joel died. I was destroyed when, come back, can't play the guitar, forcing Abby underwater, forcing us to do that. Did not want to do that at all. But then what we thought were Ellie and Joel's last words to each other beforehand, like another great thing this whole time I was playing, it's like, where is this dance scene? I saw this at E3. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then for that to be the end and to see what happened afterwards is where we get Seth, the restaurant guy, calling them dykes and Ellie getting upset, and then Joel kind of like stepping in to kind of like protect her once more. And I was like, don't do that. Like, she's still clearly pissed off at him for lying to her.
Says you have no right. That's her thing. You have no right.
And at that point, when that flashback ended, I was like, holy, that was the last words ever. That sucked. And then to get this end thing where, Andy, you were talking about earlier, where Joel says, like, I would do it all over again. And Ellie saying, like, my life would have fucking mattered if you let me die. Like, oh, man. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. That scene is so perfect.
My nips just got hard.
We get a hint of levity and, like, closure of, I can't forgive you, but I want to try. And Joel's okay.
And I think that makes his death even more dramatic, because like they were trying to rebuild something of their broken relationship.
Dude, and early on, like, there's that line of when Dina and Ellie are first going out, like, where Ellie mentions, like, oh, we're gonna have a movie night tonight. That would have been the first step to reconciliation. Like, fuck, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, gentlemen, 2 hours and 7 minutes into this thing. Let's get our final thoughts here.
Last question before final thoughts.
Oh, sure. Actually, I actually have a listener question.
Also, one more big thing. The ending. So credits roll and it brings you back to the start menu. The starting menu is the boat and Catalina Island, and Catalina Island is where Abby and Lev are heading to find the fireflies that they got in contact with. Yeah. So that Abby and Lev makes it. They make it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the whole title scene is light. So they found the light, the fireflies.
Yeah,
they
that too. Like, we start on this dark, fucking brutal, rocky ocean, and then they found the light.
Last question from me though: is Ellie going back to Jackson, or is she going off on her own?
She's a wanderer. She's a wandering soul.
I want her to go back to Jackson.
Same. I so badly want her to go back.
I mean, her story is still done though. Either way, whether she goes back there or not, this is kind of it for her.
Here's something that messed with me when I was watching, I believe it was the We Have Cool Friends episode of Kind of Funny with Greg and Laura Bailey, where they kind of mentioned, like, now that Abby and Lev are at Catalina with the fireflies, what if she mentions, like, Ellie's still alive and I know where she is? Like, are they going to go back after Ellie again? And like, I'm worried about Ellie. Does that mean
it's more? What if it's like, hey, we know how to do this now, and the fact that she's still alive, we need her because we don't have to kill her to get it, and then that could be the MacGuffin for a third is trying to find Ellie, who is a recluse. Because you can, and it's like 10 years later.
Hasn't she been through enough, this person?
I am so torn on that because I feel the same way at the end of the first game.
Yep.
I did not want a part 2 at all. After this one, I don't want a part 3 at all.
If there is if Neil right now has a story in his mind, fucking
cure the thing. That's all I want. Just cure the thing. With the current shit that we're in right now, with the current pandemic going, just cure the thing. Give me hope, please. Cure it, for the love of God,
dude. I don't even want DLC.
Small detail that I really loved. Every single freaker, I think. No, not freaker. Runner, sprinter.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I know. It's whatever. Every runner in the game was a new death. Like they were all soldiers, or from Wolf, or they weren't like just sitting there because they showed the actual progression, which is really cool. And a lot of the clickers had uniforms on. So even they were recent deaths as well.
Quick, one of the side stories: the bank in Seattle.
Oh, so good.
With the bank robbers getting stuck in there, and that's the infected you have to take out, and finding Nathan Drake's ring in the vault. Like, hell yeah.
Oh, is that where the fucking ring is?
That's where the ring is.
Okay, I missed it.
I didn't catch that one. Yeah, I missed that one too.
I got the egg, but I didn't get the ring.
I got a question here.
Yeah, okay.
Question from our friend Nicole.
Hey.
How do we feel about the open world section? To me, it didn't fit in well. It prevented me from moving through the story. Felt more like Naughty Dog was trying to follow a trend, and was long enough to endear me to the fucking horse, so I was a wreck when it died.
That horse died. Shit.
Yeah. Stepped on or tripped on a landmine.
Gruesome way.
Just the fucking.
It was odd because I kept wanting to have like an overworld map. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There's no more fucking map anymore. It's not open world anymore. I guess we're done with that part of the game, right?
Yeah, there were parts like that for me too. I like the open world section.
I dug it. It was an expansion of what the Uncharted 4 one was.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear the room? Neil Druckmann, I guess, confirmed. I don't know where I read it. I think it might have been IGN, maybe Polygon. I don't know, and maybe it might have been in the podcast for Kind of Funny actually. But confirmed that it was going to be an open world game.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, really?
And Abby had a much bigger presence in the game.
She was
like much bigger, and they actually kept cutting it back and cutting it back and cutting it back, and this is where they landed.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I think they were saying that like they were split on having her die or not at the end of the game. That they were going back and forth on having her live or die.
They created another Joel. Like they have a hero. Like just let her be a hero.
Yeah.
She did some shitty things, great, but she's a hero. Like that's what we saw. Like we got two heroes. Like Ellie's still a hero now, you know?
Too, like Joel.
Wait, start that sentence again because you were all muffled.
That's what we saw in Joel too. Like for all his sins, like he's still at the end of the first game a hero to us, the player, for saving Ellie's life because we care about Ellie.
Yeah. Another thing with Abby, originally her origin story was supposed to be she was traveling in a caravan, and Joel and Tommy back in the day as hunters encountered them and ambushed them and killed her family. And that was supposed to be like that was the original pitch for her origin, but I'm so happy they went
this one's way better.
So much better.
Yeah.
I to go back to Nicole's question, I think I actually wanted more places to go in the Seattle section. Like there were buildings I wanted to explore more of, because me going into a new building meant more time with Dina and Allie and their relationship, getting to know them a little bit better. So that's what I love that section about. And like more take on me moments, please. That's what I want.
Yeah, and like it just this just says, just goes for the pacing of the entire game. I love that this game allows you to breathe and like gives you like these story moments to actually live in the world. Like thinking about it and like replaying part 1 recently compared to this game, part 1 is very much like, intro.
It's Uncharted.
It's Uncharted. Like I forgot the guy's name or how I was going to continue this, but like intro, Billstown, the school, like there's sections rather than this game. It's clearly like a world that I'm living in. And the open world section helped with that. Shout out to one of the buildings in the open world section. I believe it was the pet shop where you go into the bathroom and there's a
Yeah.
fucking runner in there and scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, man.
And the collectibles, the character
The
superhero
cards.
cards.
The
Yeah.
cards,
On the
yeah.
coins,
That,
yeah.
I think that's
And
their
the
next
coins.
game.
Ooh, yeah.
What you say
I
that
think they're
again?
I think that's Naughty Dog's next game.
Which one?
Next IP, superheroes.
I think it's space. I think it's a
Yeah,
space game.
I'm with Kyle.
Why not both?
They're going all sci-fi
Why not
space
both?
in this
Yeah.
shit.
Why not both?
I'll be
Shout out to Dr. Uckman. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Dr. Uckman and the new dogs.
Yeah,
I found like I don't know how many of those are there.
there's a lot.
There's a lot. Are there also with the coins? Are there 50 coins?
I fucking hope not.
I
I think
didn't
I
find a
got
lot.
6.
There might be. I think I ended the first one at like 20 something, and I didn't get them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go back and play games, so that's all on you guys. You could let me know how that goes.
Oh, I'm sorry. My next
yeah,
fight tomorrow.
I didn't mind open world stuff. Like it felt like it was just a little bit of a playground for you to kind of like run around or whatever. But if you didn't have to do it if you didn't want to, so
I'm surprised. Like I knew going into it there was an open world section because they openly talked about it. I'm surprised it was so early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. All right. Final thoughts. I want to start with Kyle. What are your final thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2?
Man, a lot to unpack. Last of Us 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. From a story standpoint, the connection I have with the characters is above and beyond any other game I've played. This took that to a whole nother level and added new emotions to these characters that I was not ready for, but I appreciate. And for the journey that it brought me on, surpasses the first game in every category in my eyes, and it's clearly the best. I'll say it right now, the best PS4 game, ending the generation. This game is a must play and a must buy, must replayed game from here on out. Like, it is a masterpiece in my eyes.
Andy, let's go to you.
This is for me. I think it's almost a masterpiece.
Okay.
I think
What holds it back?
please don't flame me on this.
No, go for it.
I loved all of it. The ending just didn't sit well with me. This is my one point of contention with this game. I think for this to really see it through, Abby had to have died. For me, it was like watching Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 and having the bride walk away from Bill at the end. I think given the importance it places on Abby leaving everything behind in pursuit of Abby, and then just to walk away, it doesn't sit right. I find it very dissatisfying. I mean, the way it ends with her at the house is a beautiful moment, but I think we would have gained a lot more had Ellie killed her, and then Ellie in that moment is like, okay, I've done this, and now what? Because my life has nothing else in it. If this was what drove my life for so long, and I sacrificed so much to get to this point, and I've seen it through, and I've killed her, now there's just emptiness left in my life. And I think that would have been a little bit more profound and poetic. That's just my take on it. Anyway.
How dare you not think this is a masterpiece?
Mike, you can chime in now.
No, Kyle stole my answer. Yeah, for a little bit, like throughout today, we have a cheap plug, but if you want to keep talking about this game, we have a spoiler chat in the KindaNYC Discord. You go to KindaNYC.com to find that link. We were talking about, I think Nicole brought up, like, hey, do you think this game is better than the first game? And I was struggling with that for a little bit because, like, gut reaction, yes, this game does everything better than the first game. And I think from start to finish, it is a masterpiece. And the story that they tell is beautiful and complicated, but at the same time, a simple story of humanity and obsession and what it could drive you to do. And that's just something that Naughty Dog back in 2013, I don't think I don't even know like how to say it, but like they told a beautiful story in the first game, but like this is just on a whole nother fucking level. And like I said at the beginning, like there was video games before and after The Last of Us Part 1. Now there are video games after and before The Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I agree. I think this is the best game of at least the best game in the PS4, possibly one of the best games of the generation, aside from like Breath of the Wild or something. Yeah, I mean, fuck, man, this game is insane, and I can't wait to play it again and see a lot of like the early hints of things that we like that are foreshadowed like very early on in the game. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it was way better than the first one from a gameplay perspective, and that was what held me back from thinking the first one was a masterpiece. Like I think it was a masterpiece in storytelling, the first one, but the gameplay was lagging behind. It was a generation behind. It was, it was what it was. But this game just takes the gameplay, refines it to a point where, like, if Uncharted is like this, oh boy, if they make an Uncharted game with this kind of combat and gunplay and systems like that, oh my god, I'm all in. But yeah, I think it's definitely a masterpiece in storytelling. It's a masterpiece in its gameplay. I don't take any issue with the ending, because the one thing that we want, that at least I wanted while I was playing, was to know that there was some humanity left in Ellie, and letting Abby go. And remember, Ellie's revenge story was only 4 days.
Yeah.
Abby's revenge story was 5 years, and Abby didn't kill Ellie. So if Ellie wound up killing Abby, who spent 4 days going after Abby, but Abby was going after Ellie for 5 years and let her go, that just would confirm that Ellie's a monster. And I can't get behind her as a character at that point. Like, I wouldn't be, I would feel like I was cheering a villain. But as we know, there are no villains in this world. They're just really shitty decisions. But yeah, for me, it was beautiful. I can't recommend anybody play it that hasn't played the first one. So like, it kind of has that little caveat where it's like, oh, it's a brilliant game, but oh, I never played the first one. Yeah, well, you have to play this other 15, 20-hour game, and then you can enjoy this 15, 20-hour game. By the way, it took me just under 20 hours to beat it.
Bonkers! When I saw you say that, you're
that's
insane.
Wild.
I think I ended first playthrough at like 32.
I'll double check, but like, I remember I started the last play session at 14 hours in, and I started that at like 11, and I ended at like 3 in the morning.
Jeez. Well, you did say you were not looking for collectibles at that.
Yeah,
no, I don't. If I find a collectible, I pick it up.
Yeah.
I wasn't like going in every crevice. I'm sure the open world, I barely scratched it. I probably did about 30% of that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like, I was playing for narrative. I was just playing, doing all that. So that could be why. There's probably an extra 5 hours in there that I skipped over. But yeah. Those are my thoughts. I do recommend it if you're on the fence because people said the story. Just get off your high horse. It was a great story. It was brilliantly told.
And I just want to add one last thing here. Like, this game is like the prime example of what Sony does so well.
Yeah.
If there's ever a debate about single player story driven games and where their place is in gaming, this is why these things exist, because no other game can give us an experience like this. And I want more of these kind of stories. As brutal as they are, they hit us in a way that no other experience can. And Sony has cultivated this like mentality of fostering these kind of games. And I want more of these experiences. And it's what they do so well with their first party studios.
Dude, I can't imagine what Naughty Dog's first PS5 game is going to
look
look
my
like
God.
and run like Jesus fucking
I
Christ.
can't.
Well, you know what?
Right
Now, I'm just like, bring on Ghost of Tsushima. I was like, I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, it's insane. That's coming in like
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the Spoilercast. Let us know what you think. Tweet at us or whatever. Maybe not. Spoilers. I don't know. Who knows anymore? But you can join our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/DS podcasts. You can follow us on social media at NDS Podcast. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at Pantsguy. And gentlemen, starting with Kyle, where can everybody find you guys?
Whodat Ninja 73. If you like PlayStation, hit up our PlayStation podcast over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter and at video version on Bad Bit Games on YouTube. And yeah, KindaNYC, which Mike will take away from there.
Cool. Yeah, you can find me at Towndrow on all the social medias. You could follow KindaNYC Prime at KindaNYC, KindaNYC.com. Search KindaNYC on YouTube. We do not have a URL yet. Please help us with that. Subscribe. You can follow our video game podcast at Plat Agnostic. That's platform agnostic. And our conversational podcast at Dollar Slice Pod. That's Dollar Slice Podcast. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we do have it's buzzing in my ear right now because I have Discord open. We do have a Last of Us Part 2 spoiler chat going. There's an invite link at the bottom of KindaNYC.com. Click that. You'll get invited to Discord. Join the conversation with all of our lovely friends.
Awesome.
And thanks to you guys for bringing us on. This is great.
Yeah,
this is a lot of fun. Yeah.
This helps the conversation, like getting different perspectives, because I kind of knew, like Andy and I have been talking about this. I didn't talk to you guys at all, so it's nice to see. It's nice to get some other voices, some fresh voices in there. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Kyle. That's going to do it for us. And as always, please be excellent to each other.